Goobers, continuing with the game, shall we? But before that, like, come on, chill down, like, I can do it later on. Wait, let me just readjust a little bit, because I feel like, not this one, this one. I know, it's okay, it's fine, everything's fine. Hello, Kimberly. Yeah, just as I said, a minute before, not even a full minute. We're continuing today with Tiny Bunny, going to chapter 2. Finally, you're not late! Hey, congrats! Congrats! So yeah, starting with new week, starting new chapter. This week we're going to play Tiny Bunny only. Tomorrow there will most probably be a short that will be drawn. It will be a very quick thing if I'll manage to do it on time. And Wednesday, don't even write to me. I'll be off. I'll be watching Stranger Things, so it will be my entire personality for a day at least. Actually, not for a day, for like 2 months probably, but it's fine, it's fine. You will have to manage. I'm just a huge fan, and you know, I enjoy when something I actually like gets released. So yeah, and then Thursday we're going to continue, so don't worry about it. Hello, Cincy! Yeah, I just, what did I do today? I worked a little bit. I cleaned up my apartment for a little bit, and yeah, that was about it. That was about it, and now we're here, sitting there, playing the game that I'm very excited to continue, because soon, very soon, we're getting the final chapter. Therefore, we need to catch up. And I don't know how next week will look, but we have both Monday and Thursday before the last chapter comes out. And I will not be there on the weekend, so we cannot play it in the premiere of this last chapter being released. So in 2 weeks on Monday, definitely I'll do my best to play the final chapter. Today we're playing chapter number 2 though. Time to play with you. Let's go. As always, if something is like too loud with music, just let me know, because I always mess around depending on what I play or if I draw, you know. You know, I like messing around with my options when it comes to audio. Okay, Stranger Things has cool t-shirts at Pepcar or somewhere like that. Really, I was in a Primark and I got myself slippers because mine got well, broke, literally, like the bottom just broke in half and it was not comfortable to walk in them anymore. Also, they were quite old, so it was about time. But there weren't any cool t-shirts. I really wanted the one from like Hellfire Club that I've seen, but apparently in different countries they have like wider possibilities, like a wider amount of more, they just have more items. And when I went to Primark, all they got was like most of the things were from like their basketball team, and I'm not a fan so of basketball teams, so I was like, no, that's not it. I mainly wanted to pop in and say hello, might tip in and out until work starts. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. I mean, I'm very much grateful that you come in, since even though like you always have work at the same hour, so I much appreciate that. I hope your work well, finishes early or something. Which was my favorite from Sakamoto? From Sakamoto days? Seba. Seba was my favorite. If you're talking about characters, okay. Let's continue with the story. We're going to go to school together with our protagonist, whose name I, at this point, forgot. Anton. Yeah, I remembered it. You see? Anton. Anton, yeah. New school, new teachers, and most importantly, new classmates who I always have trouble connecting with. Like most other kids with glasses, probably. I forced myself to get out of my warm bed. That would usually drive me to my old school, but this morning the bedroom of my parents was silent. Did they sleep in? Maybe it was a good thing. I didn't want to get the daddy's boy reputation from day one. My parents were probably still tucked in, dreaming about the good old days when everything was so simple and easy. Sweet dreams, even if far removed from reality. I I silently sneaked out to the first floor so I wouldn't wake up anybody, especially the peacefully sleeping Olia. I did my best to step on the middle of every floorboard. I used to play like this even in our old apartment. If my soles touched the space between floorboards, it counted as stepping into lava. Yo! It's so unnerving. What is unnerving? Like parents sleeping, or it's like the whole vibe of this situation? Because like I couldn't as a kid. Like Anton is like what, 13, 14? I don't remember again. But it's like I would be terrified. I remember one time when I was a kid in primary school, I woke up, like the house was locked in. It wasn't my new home yet. It was like an old house that my mom grew up in. And I woke up and I walked around. There was no sign of my sister, no sign of my aunt, no sign of my dad or mom. And I just started crying because I thought they left me. So yeah, it is unnerving. The clock was spurring me on with its hands. I need to hurry. Faster, faster. I was too fast, so I needed to circle the hallway once again. Boiling lava was bursting out of the cracks between floorboards. I needed to watch my step to survive at any cost. I don't remember this moment. Like, I don't remember this animation at all. Maybe I just don't remember it, but it feels like new. Maybe they changed it, or I'm just like, you know, boosted. How this child is chilling and accusing parents that they don't give a fuck at the same time. That was unnerving to you. Well, you see, he's an artist at heart, a poet. Hippity hop like a frog jumping on molehills, like a fearful bunny in a grove full of wolves. I made a sandwich in the kitchen, shoved it down my throat and drank it down with the cold tea. My appetite was as good as of someone being led up the scaffold toward the guillotine. I lowered my gaze and saw that one of my feet was standing on two floorboards at the same time. Burned to a crisp, huh? I wonder if it's foreshadowing for one of the endings of this game. Burned to a crisp. Or him being on two different floorboards is like him being in two different worlds. The fantastical, mystical one. And the reality. Man, that's... For some reason, now that I play this game, I see much more things. That's why I like to revisit the stories, you know? But after a longer while, when more or less you still have the concept of how the story goes in your brain, but you let yourself focus on like more details. I'm not the biggest fan of like rereading things or replaying games, but there are some that just gets to me. Sometimes in visual novels games, they update dialogues and scenes a little. Yeah, which makes sense because there have been quite a lot of updates, bug fixes and all of that. So there is a chance they did that in between. I didn't really check the logs. I just checked if they added the final chapter. So all this time, so... I moved my foot. Disgusting little snakes writhed in my belly. The fear of getting hit and being called nasty names. The clock clicked. I need to go. It was dark outside, fitting for an early winter morning. This darkness never fully left the houses around here. I took my time tying my shoes, buttoning up the puffy down jacket, trying to delay my unpleasant exit into the semi-dark, into the unnerving unknown. I rubbed my glasses for good luck, though I couldn't remember a single time these thick pieces of glass brought me any good fortune. New chapter could fit better with updated ones. I do remember the whole thing about like floor is lava. I remember it clearly. But I feel like the animation in there, it felt like updated. But I may be boosted. Like I do not have the recordings of when I first played it, so... The sky was akin to a giant bruise. On the east side of it, a black cloud was swelling up. It licked up stars from the sky and extinguished the rising sun. Darkness was plastered all over the treetops. The cautious cries of birds got tangled up in the thicket. I locked the front door with a long key that I wore around my neck. Eren Yeager. I'm pretty sure I made this joke before. God damn it. My parents made me wear this noose, afraid that I being the total klutz that I am, could lose the key otherwise. The wind whisked on the other side of the gate. It invited me into my new life towards dubious adventures, and tagged alone like an old buddy, pushing me in the back. White shadows that pined throughout covered a third of the clearing. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, I hid my nose in the coat's collar. Like, I could not imagine going through forest like that. Like, genuinely, I'm terrified to go back home if I'm not walking on, like, lit up streets. I'm terrified of that. And for a kid this young to go through the forest, like, yeah, I need to reach the city, then it's not even a city, it's just a small town, and then to school, messed up. My mind, where's your cocoa tap? Cocoa-like tap, bet there is no cocoa in there. I was squeezing through the thin fire break, my hair ruffled up and my back hunched over. Oh, Lucy! No way! Hello! Good morning to you! Welcome in! No way! Impossible! Lucy is my boss from a Demipact agency, you know? Okay. Yeah, enjoy your stay, Lucy. Now that's you're somehow miraculously awake and a very uncommon for you probably hour. Tall trees stood on both sides of the tiny trail. The snowy blanket rustled under my feet, and the canopy of intertwined branches above my head cut me off from the already sparse starlight. You love this? You know this game? Insane. I thought only me and my buddies that saw me play the game knew this game. And maybe Merryweather, because it's from him that I found out about this game. The night had no plans of moving away from the forest. In the darkness, trees reminded me of shaggy old women that smelled of burial earth. Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle as their mouths. So you see, Lucy, I already played this game, but because chapter 5 is coming out on December 5th, the last chapter, I'm doing it again. Because I did it back on Twitch, so it has not been recorded. Therefore, we're doing it now, once again, with better options. And this one Russian who came on stream at Twitch, oh my god, yeah! No, there were 2 Russians actually. I still don't know if they had something to do with like with the game, or they were just like fans. I think they were fans, right? That was fun though, that was fun. Let's go! Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle as their mouths. If I lost focus even for a moment, mold-covered witches would drag me into the forest's depths. Then my parents would be walking around this part screaming my name. But the dead can't answer the living. You know what? I'm glad that, you know, Anton has been built up to be a poet, because it kind of like low-key explains his dramatic ways of describing things. Or can they? A sense of panic was growing in my chest. I was fine with Dad carrying me into the school in his hands by now if it saved me from watching the darkness rise up in the ravenous like black dough. It felt like someone jumped into the bushes behind me, so I turned around. As soon as I started walking faster, I heard the snow squeak behind me. The forest took a deep breath with its giant lungs. The windfall cracked. The wind and the birds were left behind the field. Now I could only hear the forest creak. I walked, listening closely, and the unseen presence grew stronger. As if someone was following me, trying to match the pace of my footsteps. I turned my head so fast it made my neck crunch. A tiny trail behind me disappeared into the darkness. 3 branches overlapped, forming a natural tunnel. The question escaped my lips and dissolved into the unending creaking sound of the wooden idols, the pines around me. Why did I think going through the forest alone was a good idea? I'm either going mad, or someone had intentionally lured me away from home. Distant lights granted me a smidgen of hope. A country road I ran there as fast as I could, as if afraid that the trail will shrink. Clothed hands will grip me by the shoulders, turn me around, and make me look at the faces of hungry forest denizens. In the end, nobody stopped me. I almost flew to the crypt wooden bridge, disbelieving my luck. The bridge's support bathed in a spring, tarry and ice-cold. I put my hands on my knees and looked up at the forest, then snorted, trying to calm my breathing. The thicket was pretending to be asleep. It looked peaceful, lifeless. The remaining part of my commute light through a snow-laden road, illuminated by sparse lamplights. Oh, is this scene? Yeah, it's this scene. It's this scene. I chased away bad thoughts and ran as fast as I could from one circle of light to another, seeking protection from electric lamps. That's something that I do every time I go back home. It's like from electric lamp to electric lamp. This is like my save points. Just like in that game where you need to be the first to proclaim, I'm protected. Okay, glossary. Tag, a kid's game where one player needs to tag other players by touching them with their hand, making them it. In certain zones, normally called the ghoul, players can't stay safe from tagging. I remember that I hated this version of tag because you know, you're the opposite, oh, that's interesting. Because I felt like it broke the game, because then like someone was just standing there forever and like, haha, I'm in a safe space, you cannot do anything. And then like the person that was tagged, that was it, and they just stood there and waited for you to move. You feel like you're vulnerable and their lamps prefer staying hidden. That makes sense. You prefer to avoid streetlights at night and bad people can see. Oh my god, am I the only one who believes like the street lamps are actually like safe places? Holy shit, maybe I'm the weird one. He's Mr. General now, but you know, Lama is no more. It's just, in this case, that protection was flimsy at best, with darkness writhing outside its bounds. I played too much Undertale. Then I noticed something remarkably eerie. In a place where the light from an inclined lamp couldn't reach, a hairy, crooked shadow came alive with a guttural roar. It almost felt like its features deterred light, its unnatural pose instilled fear. My eyes almost popped out of their sockets as I just stood there, blinking, trying to chase away that illusion. But the shadow didn't disappear and even got closer. My insides were gripped by horror. I stepped back and almost fell into a snow pile. The black silhouette, on the other hand, straightened up and addressed me in a sweet voice. Why your nickname switched? You have the same issue that Isle did. Isle also like came in with different nickname. I was like, why was my nickname changed? I don't know what happened. What's happening? It's really this scene, yeah. Words got stuck in my throat. Who could be talking in such silky voice here, between the forest and the dormant village? Man. The girl stood before me, judging from the voice and the silhouette. But I couldn't even reprimand myself for getting scared by a girl before noticing a gaping mouth under her hood with something dangerously shiny inside. I was stunned. She's a furry. From the cavity of her hood, a frighteningly real fox face was staring straight at me. It's just her jaws weren't moving and her eyes weren't blinking. A mask. It's just a girl with a fox mask on. At least I wanted to think that. After a surprise like that, a nervous smile involuntarily crept onto my face. Run? Nah. Bro, you literally have fox on your avatar. Why would you run from a fox girl? That doesn't make any sense. I missed her sassiness. And indeed, there was a small dog circling the girl's legs. One of the strays that were chasing me yesterday, probably. After hearing my voice, the dog whimpered, lowered its ears, sniffed me out, and then started wagging its tail. I guess I still smelled of bologna that I ate for breakfast. I was shifting my gaze back and forth from the dog to the girl. She didn't seem scary anymore, just weird. That is not a fox, I don't know what it is, but it's here to kill us. No, chill. It's definitely... Look how friendly she is! Asking us name and all. Ha 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 ha. Very funny. She's weird. Definitely has a couple loose screws. But she has a nice voice. Boy, is Anton such a simp for melodic voices, I guess. It's smiling. My astonishment has turned into a mix of happiness and relief. This girl I didn't know was definitely human, if a bit eccentric. I was also a bit angry at myself. This foxy girl was walking through the darkness without problem, and I shuddered from every little sound. I could just walk away, but this girl had piqued my interest. The next time a police officer asks me about my friends at the new place, I'll tell him that I befriended a talking fox. With a smile like that, she can't hurt you. That, obviously, right? The fox giggled and purred. She spun around so hard the hem of her coat lifted up. Caesar from One Piece had similar. But he did nothing, right? Right? I mean, technically, foxes attack, like, you know, places that have hens, and also, well, they're not living by, but they surely do come closer to humans, because it's an easier way to get food. Her jokes were also weird. Just like her carnival mask. Papier-mâché with fur glued onto it. A dog reminded us of its existence with a loud bark. I unfastened my backpack. That would sometimes throw food in there without my knowledge. Cookies, apples, or even my favorite crab sticks. Dude, crab sticks aren't even crab! Bro, don't! He called it a gift from the bunny. Treat from the bunny. The uneaten part of a business lunch, or a treat specifically bought for children. Parents would tell their children that a bunny asked them to deliver said treat, but it could also be any other animal, a squirrel or a bear, for example. Huh. I didn't remember this one. It's like, imagine like you have a business lunch and you're like just opening your Tupperware and like, sorry, this is for my kid. The stray strolled towards me with mincing footsteps, with a pleading look in its eyes. The fox did definitely treat it to something, but it was probably still hungry. The girl shrugged, throwing silvery snowflakes off her nose. How dare I call her mask a costume? This is a part of her. Hi, Isle, hello! And her human form along with them, turning into a genuine beast. A real fox, agile, cunning, dangerous. A moment of hesitation and you'll be ripped to shreds. She'll tear you up and gulp you down without breaking a sweat. I couldn't help but just stand there as a stump. Until I heard her calm melodic laughter hidden underneath the beastly mask. Sweet. Did she say sweetie? I got embarrassed, went red up to my hairs. The girl called him cute, basically. Ow! OMG, a fox, so cute. I love how Isle came in and was like, oh, fox, so cute. When previously Red was like, oh no, run, run! We had seen a fox in the zoo once when we went there with Dad, but it had patchy fur, was grey and skinny. But this girl was of fiery color and furry, just like in fairy tales. I was still rummaging through my backpack. My fingers that were searching for the dog's treat stumbled upon some soft, crumpled object. Man. I love that. It's like, yeah, humans are real monsters. Amazing. The girl's shadow was dancing in the lamp's lights. You need a deal for What? That's so out of topic! What do you mean you need a deal for sausage? I have no context for this, but foxes are cute, and that's the end of the story for- Okay, fair enough. The context is that we're playing a horror game, Isle. That's about it. The dog yapped in agreement. I freaked out and dropped my finding in the snow without getting a proper chance to examine it. Cold wind instantly covered the hole it created with snow. The dog rushed to dig it out, wanting to get its treat. And the fox just snorted. Now I was embarrassed. I wanted to sink through the snow. It was still dark outside of the electric circle. On the contrary, the darkness seemed even more thick. All neighboring houses were sleeping deeply in its inkiness. I did my best to continue the conversation with the weird girl I didn't know. Well, I was trying to be friendly, but she can't stop mocking me. Calling me dummy and all. I should have just moved along without paying any attention to this weirdo and her stupid dog. Now look at who's talking. He's like, oh, no one will like me at school. And now he's here, so judgmental. He's trying at tsundere. It's not like I care or anything. It may not be a real fox though. It may not be a real fox though. Cheaper for your lecho? Okay, fair. Oh, you see? Binu gave you a nice tip. I don't know if they have Dino though anywhere near. Still something froze me in place, tugged me toward the dark figure. A mysterious appearance, her voice that was velvety and just languid enough. I was intrigued and excited. I watched her as people watch fires burn. The dog was digging through snow with sharp movements, snoring loudly. The fox turned around and looked at the windows of a nearby house, at its timbered front through the white mist. The tip of her fake nose was shining under the lamplight. Aha, she's flirting! I went red again, like a boiled crayfish this time. Is she talking about herself or someone else? I hope that the semi-dark would be able to hide my embarrassment from a girl. I cleared my throat before asking. Oh my god, bro. You're not smooth at all. I waited, counting my heartbeat. The fox didn't reply. Her sly stare was scanning the frosty patterns of someone's windows. She was reading them like a glass book. I wonder what she can see in those winter paintings. The stray stopped rummaging through the snow. It ran to me, holding my object in her jaws. A mitten. Could it be the one I found in the forest? What is it doing here? When I looked closer, I realized that it was just my mitten. Maybe Mom stuffed it in there when I was asleep. A certain missing boy immediately came to mind. Hey, ты знаешь что-нибудь про Вову? I'll never am 100% sure who's on drugs when we are playing this game. Well, I am on drugs. I mean, like, on medicine. I mean, so you can count me in. Hi, Poiden. Hello. Fox Girl, Anton, or maybe me. Anton for sure. Yeah, Anton for sure as well. Anton is taking pills in canon as well. So it's Anton, me, possibly you. I imagined the scene, silhouettes dancing in the clearing. The dance on the night when Vova had disappeared. A boy who, when found, can provide a big reward. And maybe save my family. I remembered my birthday, when our parents promised to take me and Olia to Disneyland in Paris. But instead of a long-anticipated gift, they gave me a simple brick game console, visibly embarrassed. I was crying my eyes out back then, demanding to take me to the promised amusement park. That was the first time when Mom and Dad had a big fight. My greediness shattered their relationship. If only I could fix everything, gather everybody I love and take them to Disneyland.
В ночь, когда пропал Вова, я, кажется, видел, как кто-то похожий на тебя плясал под моим окном.
It couldn't be true, but I felt like her mask became even more sly. The fox was sniffing me out.
А что? Ты тогда испугался? За себя или кого-то еще?
Olia. As soon as I thought about my sister, my chest tightened, and cold sweat streamed down my spine.
Ну так слушай меня внимательно, мальчик по имени Антон. Это большой и страшный лес.
The fox girl stepped forward menacingly.
И я не единственный его обитатель. Другие звери уже знают о тебе. Берегись нас. Это
I can fix her? We'll try, Isle. I shouldn't have talked to this evil in child form, I thought, panicking.
Пока ты со своей семьей будешь спать, подкрадемся близко-близко и станцуем Макарену.
Чё?
Эй, Макарена!
Hey, Macarena! Yeah! I love how they build up this fox girl. I genuinely feel like they knew how to build up a character that is very suspicious but also charming, so you can believe how someone would like follow someone like her, right? It's just so good. Hey, Macarena! Yeah! I'm not into furry, but pacing is always great here. Yeah, they know how to build up, break the expectations, and then go back on track at like the right moment, so it doesn't feel awkward or weird. Just like, they're so good. I don't know who wrote this story, but I'm very excited to see how it ends.
Видел он меня ночью у своего окна. Ага, как же. А ты случаем не местный дурачок?
And I also love how she's like, basically like, calling him a dumbass every single second. She's just like me, for real, for real. I also like calling out people for being dumb.
Меня не отпускают гулять так поздно. Здесь, знаешь ли, дети пропадают.
I touched the plastic frame of my glasses, puzzled by her silly joke. She got me scared to death.
Ой, да не тереби ты окуляры свои.
Reminded of how RPG sessions are paced with dark and heavy, never-ending atmosphere, and then there's climax when game master asks for chips. Yeah, man. I wish I could like play in a cool D&D campaign, you know, but a cool one, because the last one that I played was a disastrous.
Я раньше тоже близорукой была. Лучше послушай меня. Может быть, ума
But I feel like you have to play with like cool people, like the people who will get into it just like you do, you know. It's just like you need a great team and good dungeon master as well. Not that great. I mean, maybe not specifically D&D, but anything, any paper RPG really. It's like I think I said it before. I prefer the role playing sequences over any fights. So when once with my friends we did like kind of like full on, because we didn't have anything. We had what, like one dice, and we just made up like some kind of like story and we played around it. It was fun. Warhammer. I mean, I don't mind any, because honestly, like, you can even build up your own universe and go around it. I see a lot of people like doing... I'm sorry that we're derivating from the game, but the topic is there, and you know, I'm fresh in Stranger Things hype, so it's just fitting. It's just like, you know, basically just any kind of like roleplay like game. That would be fun. Roleplay and the atmosphere are the best in TTRPG. Yeah, it's lovely, it's just fun. Special horror setting to it. It's not only in Warhammer, like there's also like the Call of Cthulhu version, right? Which I don't really know the differences because I never went deep into it. I usually was just invited to like easygoing sessions. Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k are just superior. Damn! D&D is for freaks who want to stir numbers. Well, it depends. Because, like, you know, there are those who are strict to the rule, you know, like down to the rule. But you can take the book, get like elements from it, and just do your own thing, right? So basically, I look at it more this way. Warhammer Fantasy once, and it was interesting. Damn. Like, I'm not big into like the number thingies. Although, like, you know, Final Fight, sure. Final Fight, it can be exciting, but when you're like, oh, and then you have those mobs that appears and you need to fight them. I'm like, ah, okay, whatever. Like, let's just get over with it. I love Call of Cthulhu, even though about making something similar about SCP universe. You need to check it out because, like, recently I've seen so many different kinds of TTRPGs. Like, My Little Pony has one. Konosuba has one, for fuck's sake. You can get so many right now. And I know like a lot of those D&D team, like not DMD, but just like TTRPG groups that stream their campaigns. They also like release their own books, so D&D is not that adaptable. Well, once again, like I never was from like, I never worked on it from the perspective of a dungeon master or like just a game master, whatever. I was always just invited with like, sometimes they even like gave me like already completed, you know, the sheet. Konosuba TTRPG, yeah, there's one. There is Konosuba one. They even like gave you like I think there were like 1 or 2 campaigns that are written in the book that you can like lead if you have no experience, and also like characters as well. Listen to me and maybe you'll become smarter. Okay, continuing the game. I mean, you can continue talking about TTRPGs, I don't mind it.
Плутовка?
My words seemed to hurt her.
Ох ты ж! Да как ты меня? Ой, прости.
I love her. I love her laughter as well. Her laughter was akin to the jingle of a pair of silver bells. If you have experienced players, you can play without or with only few mechanics, just so that the dice rolls don't read the story. Yes! Yes, because like I love the dice. I love throwing the dice, but I just don't want to do it to just attack. I want to do it like, you know, perception skill, or like, you know, like check if your charisma is enough to convince someone. I prefer that over anything else. And well, in the final battle, obviously, because then it's exciting. In Konosuba TTRPG, you're stealing every few minutes. You can't do that. You can't do that for sure. I don't know how many points you have for that, though.
Если ты ловкий и смелый, не боишься с плутовкой водиться, я так и быть помогу разыскать этого Вову.
Nice, she wants to help us. She's a good guy.
Ты же неспроста его ищешь, да?
Solo roleplay is not that engaging to me because I'm more about what to balance to please MG, not to trust luck. It depends. It really depends how it's written down, you know, like what the concept is. Because like I have a lot of fun just like checking how much I can do and checking how like DM will answer to that, you know. I shrugged in reply. Her insight was alarming.
Знаю, почему дети повадились соваться в наш лес. Порой там можно найти много всякого интересного. Я вот однажды нашла целый сугроб конфет и купалась в нем. Да так что челюсть слиплась.
If you want cool story, yeah, it's okay, but being player for me is to seek advantages for myself. I think I have like just different expectations for TTRPGs, I guess. Pile of candy. I couldn't deduce whether she believed in what she was saying from the tone of her voice. I showed her another smile, a fake one this time.
Посмотрите-ка, какой недоверчивый. Ну-ну, а что ты на это скажешь?
She held out her hand in a furry mitten. There was an assortment of sweets in her palm. In the city where I used to live, sweets like these were sold at markets or in kiosks. I know what a kiosk is. It's a very Slavic thing. Kiosk. A smile container type shop selling a wide assortment of products from bubblegum to vodka, clothing or even home appliances. These types of shops were popular in 90s Russia and more often than not tied to criminal organizations. Wait, they were? Turbo. Wait, they were? I didn't know this part. I do not remember about that. But yeah, kiosks are almost non-existent right now. I saw my favorite bubblegum in a vivid wrapper among the tasty treasure. A familiar name was on it. Turbo. A triangular fox face poked her nose toward me. Okay. Yeah, we're taking it! Hell yeah! Taking sweets for a person you don't know? Hell yeah! Actually, do not do it IRL, please. But we're taking the turbo gum. Kiosks are bootleg żabkas? Kiosks walked so żabkas can run, Mr. Generalny. Get it right! Have some respect! I accepted the treat and catching a whiff of the girl's smell. For fireworks and citrus. The smell of holidays. Don't take sweets from strangers. Meanwhile, Halloween. Okay. I was very much delusional. I thought that Americans still do Halloween, but apparently, a few years back when I still used to hang out with some American peeps, they told me that they don't really do that anymore because it's dangerous and, you know, it used to be a thing. Obviously, but now they only eventually have parties and just go around the neighborhood, like the closest neighborhood, if anything. But it's not as popular as it used to be. I mean, yeah, but we can for sure trust her with those sweets. Hell yeah! My fingers tingled while I was carefully unwrapping the gum. Peachy aroma entered my nostrils and something else, something unfamiliar but pleasant. The fruity cube ended up in my mouth. I started moving my molars, chewing the gum. It tasted like your usual Turkish gum, only my tongue went a bit numb. I couldn't believe my luck after opening the insert. Mercedes-Benz! Oh my god, it is Turkish! Dude, it's motor, gücü, hızı. My goodness, I didn't know. Wait, is it a Turkish brand? I never knew that. In kiosks where Giga Chats and Żabka betas could clean your shoes. Oh wait, I didn't check the... Bubblegum insert games. The type of game where players put bubblegum inserts onto their palm and try to flip it by throwing it in the air. The player who happens to flip one or more insert claims them as their prize. Those inserts were often considered as collectibles. Obviously. There's no that fancy thing at my Mercedes. I looked at a Mercedes-Benz, an extremely rare and hence desirable collector's item for any boy from my previous neighborhood. My heart skipped a beat. I was barely able to tear my eyes off the insert, still stand.
Это же... Это...
Теперь понял, что можно найти в лесу? Только на твоем месте я бы туда в одиночку не ходила.
You see, she's giving us good advice as well.
Тебе вон от жвачки в забу дыханье
Okay, well, she's mocking us, but...
Что с тобой будет, если найдешь чемодан таких фантиков? Голову напрочь снесет. И пиши пропало.
Unusual treats, just like everything else about her. I carefully hid the insert in my bag, as if I was putting a rare butterfly in a can. The fox giggled. This is not how things are supposed to go on a Monday morning. Who are you? I refrained from asking that question. She wouldn't answer anyway, or she'll just lie. I really wanted to see what's behind her mask. I was becoming more and more sure that underneath it wasn't just a simple young girl.
Может, Вова тоже нашел сугроб сладости и теперь кувыркается в нем? Слушай, вдруг он решил остаться в лесу? Тогда, наверное, ему очень холодно в одной варежке.
The wind caught her words like smoke from a fire and carried them deep into the darkness, into the creepy thicket. The trees behind me creaked with their bony branches.
Или с ним что-то случилось в пути. Что-то страшное.
The forest reacted to her words, became alive. It sniffed me out, perking up its ears, just like a curious beast. The fox girl pierced me with her eyes again.
Дикие звери?
Это, по-твоему, страшно?
Ну, не знаю.
Не знает. Уж не с двоечником ли я подружилась?
We're friends! She called us a friend! Forget the dunce part. I didn't like being called a dunce, yet being friends with her sounded
Я
nice.
хорошист.
Бел да пушист. Пойдешь со мной, хорошист Антон? Найдем твоего Вову и сам его спросишь, что он нашел в этой пуще. Ведь пока мы вместе, никто тебя
It's
в
funny,
лесу не тронет.
I've listened to a podcast that was kind of like, you know, creepy story that had a similar concept. I do believe like the female was a Wendigo though. And like she said the same thing, like if you're with me, nothing will hurt you in the forest. But then you're like, what if it's not true?
Вот видишь.
Worms of worry writhed in my belly. Better run, whispered my mind.
Я тебе не верю.
Ты думаешь, я врунья? Да и пожалуйста, мне никогда никто не верит.
Oh, they still have a typo here. The girl sounded hurt, although I didn't know if she was genuine about it. She turned around as if she had immediately lost all interest in me. The gum felt bitter now. I remembered my dad's favorite saying, "Where are your manners, son?" Indeed, this fox was kind to me.
Не обижайся, пожалуйста. Лисы бывают и добрыми. Ну, как в сказках. Мне бы только понять, что ты за лиса.
А
The girl giggled, hiding the nose of her mask in her hands.
Тогда пойдем со мной в лес, и ты все обо мне узнаешь. Но не сейчас, а когда рассветет. А то тебя, бедного, всего аж потряхивает. Того и гляди, кондрашка хватит. Айда, провожу тебя до школы.
After hearing this, the dog barked in agreement and stopped messing with the mitten. I leaned in, trying to grab the piece of handwear that almost ran away from me.
Ну, если тебе по пути...
We went toward the school and the lost dawn. Here and there, the lights came on in the windows of houses we passed, as if their inhabitants were sending us warning signs. Silhouettes lurked behind curtains, dogs let out occasional barks. Spirals of grey smoke rose from chimneys. TVs bustled and dishes clanked in kitchens. We watched the village slowly rise from its slumber while carefully treading the snowy wheel trails. I walked in the left one and she took the right one. The dog was following right behind us. I expected the fox to bring up something weird again, but she stayed silent all the way to the school as if playing with me some game only she was privy to. She would only giggle from time to time when the dog sneezed from the snowflakes that fell on its nose. I was the first one to break the silence.
Как тебя зовут?
Ну, конечно. Имена, имена, имена. Людям непременно надо вешать ярлыки на все подряд. Ну и как бы ты назвал такую лису, как я?
Даже не знаю. Но я читал про лису по имени Алиса.
Alisa.
Что? Я не против. Пусть будет Алиса.
We named her. For someone who's like, oh, labels, unimportant, she agreed pretty easily to it. I couldn't understand if she was joking or not. I turned around as if looking for an answer from the dark sky devoid of dawn. My silent questions were left unanswered. The school's outline was already in our sight. A giant brick box stuck in the endless night. Lights in its windows didn't bode well for me. The warden trees were guarding the schoolyard. Screams, childish laughter, and someone's whistling tore up the silence. I went here with Mom when we just moved, and the place looked cozy at that time. Empty corridors that smelled of polished, puffy snow outside. The second time I came alone to get the books and just kept on imagining my peers rolling down the railings, grade schoolers running to the library, and teachers marching down the corridor with the air of self-importance around them. High schoolers were smoking at the entrance, in track pants and wool caps perched on their foreheads. Their appearance destroyed the last of hopes for a cozy school. Their stingy eyes and the teeth, yellow from nicotine, their smirks, all of it had the same gloomy effect as the cloudy winter morning. Absorbed by my thoughts, I completely forgot about my companion.
После уроков жду тебя на заднем дворе. Возле повешенного.
Возле кого?
She just ignored my question.
Не опаздывай.
I hesitated. Blowing hot and cold again. Mom always said that when I would have trouble choosing between two options. Thinking about Mom helped me reply.
Я после школы сразу домой.
Эх, Антоша, Антоша. Это я тебя
Антоша.
Другие же незаметно подкрадутся со своими улыбочками и вцепятся. Клещами не оторвешь. Попомни мои слова.
Oh, what a cute yawn. The fox opened her mouth in a wide yawn. What kind of trick is this? Someone running in the distance called out my name. I instinctively turned around. A huge snowball whizzed past my shoulder and hit the dog. Poor doggy! It whimpered and ran toward the spring. Darkness devoured it. The fox girl was also nowhere to be seen. She dissolved into frosty air. Or was she hiding in my shadow? I gulped and swallowed the gum. Unlucky. After taking a deep breath, I went towards the school, towards the cutlets in dough, toward the light, raining down onto the snow. I didn't think about it before, but there's like 41cc, whatever the end is. Maybe I should remember that. 41cc and the triangle thingy. There was a fresh-looking Volga parked nearby with... Oh, that's probably like a... No, is it like a Volga logo? Parked nearby with one of its front wheels perched up to the icy curb. Black like suit, as if it was straight out of the horror story that loved to tell me when we hid in the attic during a thunderstorm. I remember him always wearing a sad smile while mentioning the black car that snatched children. He would say, "It looks like a funeral car on the inside, white curtains and all. And it has DSC in its license plate. Do you know what that means? Death to Soviets' children." Funny, I was born in the USSR too. Okay, that's not funny. It's not an A? Well, it may look like an A as well. I'm not so sure. Black Volga ran. Whose nest is this, I wonder? A thieving magpie? And it probably has all sorts of shiny things in it. Pieces of colorful glass, bottle caps, polished coins, or child braces. Okay. A tall man was standing near the gate, puffing out clouds of smoke into the wind. He didn't look like a teacher. Was he a PE guy? Maybe, yeah, he kind of, you know, smoking cigarettes. #1 suspect from teachers, PE teacher. It makes sense, actually. I carefully studied his face that looked like it was cut from a piece of granite, and his hair lip that was holding down a cigarette. He was playing around with car keys and staring back at us. The light from the cigarette was reflected in his eyes that were sitting deep in his eye sockets. I froze in place. The hulking man lazily tore off his eyes from us and walked toward the road. Well, he left. Do I still have something other than those teenagers? A buzzing crowd of upperclassmen with their winter hats tipped to the side. I'd better not draw their attention. Okay, let me just quickly check, because of course I'm stupid and I didn't remember to do that. And I don't want to miss out on anything, okay? Like, I don't want to redo anything. Obviously, I think I already missed out something before, but it doesn't matter because I already have, like, the achievement. Okay, I think we gotta enter. Just in case, you know. I'd rather be safe than sorry, to show you the best outcomes, possibly, hopefully. You could hear muffled voices behind the doors, saw blinking lamps. Darkness creeped along the windows, and it felt like the school was drifting in open space like a lonely lost spaceship. Rozpisanie uroków. After going up to the second floor, I noticed a crowd around this notice board. Everyone was taking part in a lively discussion. I moved closer and took a look at something everyone was interested in through a wall of backpacks. There was a piece of paper with something printed on it, glued to the left of the notice board. Well, we don't have anything to check in here, so let's read it. Attention, child missing. Vova Matyukin, 10 years old. Well, then we are like 11 or something, right? Because he was like around our age. Vova Matyukin, 10 years old, grade 4B. He left his home on January the 5th around 4 p.m. and never returned. Was last seen at the bridge over the Smorodina River. He was wearing an orange coat with a hood, a black wool cap, a scarf, and mittens with green stripes. Might have had a plastic toy gun on him. Features 142 centimeters tall, skinny, brown hair, and green eyes. Please call these numbers if you have any information on Vova's whereabouts. And there are the numbers for police and Vova's parents. Vova. No, it's not World of Warcraft reference, Poiren! Chill! Children missing. Vova Matyukin was his name. Matyukin. A 4th grader. On that grainy print, Vova looked dead, with black mouth and dark empty eye sockets. Could it be that darkness dwelling deep in the forest invades his pores and mutilated his face? A plastic toy gun couldn't protect him from the whispering branches and the howling wind. Empty eyes of the lost boy pierced through my soul as if pleading. Unable to meet his stare, I turned around and rushed to the window. Took a seat on the windowsill. The corridor was slowly filling up with children in groups of few. When we were sitting in windowsills in primary school, they always told us to get off. Which was annoying, because you literally had nowhere to sit down, you know? The corridor was slowly filling up with children in groups of few. I'm sorry, I already read that. Nobody paid me any mind. In the darkness of school toilets, child voices were hammering a nursery rhyme. He played World of Warcraft 10 years and gone missing. Classic. No! No! You see, don't play World of Warcraft. I turned my head toward them, trying to get a better look at their features, but then my attention was stolen by a loud clicking sound. A female teacher marched down the corridor with her chin raised up high. Her heels were hitting the floor like miniature hoofs. A girl was trailing her every step. She was also looking pompous, stopping along the way and whispering some secret in her friend's ear. She was probably a class rep, since she was carrying an attendance register book. There is a comic about her. I have not read it, but I'm very much curious. It's a very like manga style comic, so I'm interested. What's in there? And it's about Ekaterina. Ekaterina. The teacher opened the classroom door and the crowd of children swarmed in, screaming and pushing. Out of all of them, a tall, redhead, fat boy caught my attention. It's like, how to present the most hated character. It has to be fat and redhead. There we go. There's tons of comics about her, but they're not... Okay, we're not talking about those! We're not talking about those! Hello, TD, hello! His face was full of blisters. He looked like the insides of a pomegranate. Bad feeling risen up the hair on the back of my head. I've seen boys like him before. Unsettled eyes, cackling laughter. The girl who was the smaller copy of the teacher warned the boy with a wave of her hand and entered the room through the clearing in the crowd. Some other guys stood in the way of the crowd and the redhead immediately shoved him. The boy flew head first, flailing his hands trying to keep his balance. The fatso burst out laughing and a couple of kids joined his nasty cackling. Their laughter... I already hear the laughter of one of those idiots. Their laughter sounded like someone was snipping with huge garden scissors. The classroom stacked all of the kids in. The corridor stood empty. I wanted to grow roots and stay on the windowsill. Just a handful of lampposts outside were battling the darkness, breathing like fluorescent fish in the black ocean. Maybe I can still run away? Go outside, solve in the dark? I imagined myself running through snow, how it squeaks under my boots, and how I am becoming lighter and lighter with every step. The ringer's trill blew that illusion away. I tore myself from the window with great effort. Then took a couple of deep breaths, trying to at least calm down my mad pulse and entered the classroom. Well, here guys, nothing. Hey, new guy at class or whatever. The prim teacher looked at me over the frame of her glasses, clearly annoyed.
Я новенький. Мне вот сказали к вам подойти.
The snowy forest trail was winding in front of my eyes. The pines rustled, but it didn't sound predatory anymore. She buried herself in the register and flicked through the pages.
Фамилия-то как?
Петров.
Громче говори. Чего мямлишь?
Петров.
Нет такого.
We're not on the list. Then whatever. Go back home. She measured me with a long and heavy stare, as if trying to see if I was lying. I wanted to sink through the floor. Hazy faces observed all of that from the left. The classroom breathed and snorted in unison, like a living organism, like a dangerous beast.
Ты не ошибся? Нет такого в списке.
My knees chose the worst time to start shaking and I felt dizzy. I clutched my fist so hard my knuckles became white.
Мне сказали, 204 кабинет, Лилия Павловна, 6 В.
Apparently everyone in the classroom took my words for some sort of joke because they were all laughing.
Что за бардак?
The classroom felt silent. The kids hid their smirks for a better occasion.
Понаберут студентов. Только знают, что губяки свои мылевать. А я разгребай, значит. А бумаги-то кто заполнять будет? Не первый раз ведь уже.
Typical teacher is like, I know who's doing a paperwork in here, but it's not my fault.
Подожди здесь. Сейчас. Сейчас я им устрою.
The teacher flew past me, mumbling something to herself in righteous anger, and I was left standing at the center of the classroom. Like a convict in front of a firing squad, I lowered my gaze, feeling the mocking stares from all around the classroom directed at me. They prickled my skin, danced on the laser sights. Oh, danced on like a laser sight, sorry. Once again, I imagined running far away from this place, fighting the glowing wind, soaring high above the pines in one long jump. With the wind in my back as my only companion, the eyes of my future classmates were asking, this new boy, is he one of us or an outsider? Somebody whispered something and stifled laughter rolled through the classroom.
Доску вытри!
It was easy to guess who was the main prankster here.
Эй, очкарик! Ты чё, не только слепой, но еще и глухой? Доску вытри, говорю!
My knees weren't the only shaking part of my body anymore. I was trembling from head to toe and I prayed for the teacher to come back sooner. My prayers were answered by the powers that be.
Ну что мне с тобой делать-то? Куда сажать, а? Давай-ка сядь, наверное, с Семеном.
I don't want to sit with Semyon.
Он все равно один.
Еще чего?
The fatso put his backpack on the seat beside him in defiance, scratched his belly and smirked. He did your classical old lady in the bus move. It's like, oh, an empty space? Oh, you want to sit there? Well, let me put my shopping bag in there.
наказать за старое? Снова бабушку в школу вызывать?
Damn, grandma will be called. The classroom went silent.
А чё она мне сделает?
Не она, так я тебе сделаю. Рюкзак убрал быстро.
Semyon didn't move a muscle. He started studying the portraits of writers on the wall, looking bored. I needed to do something to resolve this somehow to save myself. I cleared my throat and continued in a stifled voice that sounded nothing like me.
Я могу за последнюю парту сесть. Там, кажется, свободно.
The teacher snorted loudly. She looked at me, then at Semyon, then back at me.
Ладно, садись пока туда. А с тобой, Бабурин, мы еще поговорим. Чтобы подошел после уроков. Будешь по классу дежурить, ясно?
Semyon forced out a twisted smile. Juicy pimples were growing on the tip of his nose, ripe for the taking. Ew! Ugh! I walked carefully, afraid to stumble and fall, causing another outburst of laughter from everyone. I took my seat at the back, the last table, where I was met with a pile of old posters. The outcasts took their seats, and the class was ready to start.
Вот и хорошо. Начнем урок. Тема: традиции русской и мировой литературы в рассказе Зощенко «Не надо».
Oh no, I'm not preparing for the class. Holy shit. The fatso turned back to me. His stare informed me of the coming days, weeks and months of bullying. I've got my eyes on you, said his watery look. After just a couple of periods, I had already noticed a huge yellow spit stain in my notebook. Ugh, this is gross. I cannot even look at it. You know, just like, I don't know, something about spit is gross. Then at the cafeteria, the Semyon accidentally spilled a glass of compote on me. I do know what compote is, okay? I'm Slavic, but I will read it for those who are not. Compote, a dessert drink brewed from a mix of dry fruit and berries. Actually, we don't, like, I don't know about you guys. I mean, is it from dry fruit? Because, like, in my household, it was always from fresh fruit. And basically, it's just like we have a lot of them in jars, storaged. I don't know if it's like dry fruit. It can be from a dry fruit, but like usually we did it like with fresh fruit. And then he flailed his hands around after exiting the toilet so some of the liquid from his hands would get on me. Just before the final period for today, Semyon pushed me into a buzzing crowd of girls from our class. Oh, they're... Oh my god, this moment, bro. Tell me you're an anime fan in game dev without telling me you're an anime fan in game dev. Or rather, ecchi anime fan. They made way cursing, but I couldn't hold my balance and ended up ramming my face into the girl I took for the class right before, right in her chest. I immediately stepped back, dying from embarrassment.
Ты в порядке?
Then she suddenly put her hands on her hips.
Нет, ну вы посмотрите на него. Облапал меня прямо у всех на глазах. Я сейчас все маме расскажу. Тебя из школы выгонят, извращенец.
There was some sort of sadistic pleasure in her eyes, as if she was a child who was about to put a lid up much to the chauffeur beetle.
Я нечаянно, меня толкнули.
Все видели, слепых среди нас нет.
She stared at my glasses while showing me a creepy smile. I started to fume on the inside, but Semyon's laughter cooled my head.
Толкнули? Чё, правда?
He swaggered up to me, enveloping me in the smell of sunflower seeds and rotting teeth, and then pushed me to the ground.
Вот так, да? И
Disgusting.
что ты сделаешь?
The bully towered over me as if saying, "Come on, hit me, let me see you try." Oh, I so will try to fight back, fuck that.
Слушай, ты...
My throat went dry, my lips were moving on their own, and my voice was akin to a stifled squeal. Semyon wore a mocking smile.
Давай, давай, продолжай, очкарик. Чё примолк-то?
Dude, just brush your teeth occasionally.
Нам всем очень интересно. Если еще хоть раз меня тронешь,
Semyon slowly stuck out a finger and poked my forehead.
Натранул и чё? Еще хоть раз! Транул!
God damn it.
А вот еще!
It's so fucking annoying.
И еще! И еще!
He was poking me with his finger so hard that my head tilted backward. I must not cry, or I'll be done for.
Чё ты мне сделаешь, мямля?
My vision went blurry. My soul tore off from the floor. I rushed forward and threw a random punch without looking. Let's go! What I saw when I opened my eyes was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Semyon was holding his ear and blinking in amazement. Was I the first person to rebel against his absolute rule? Oh my god, missing tooth guy. I needed to run, but I was already surrounded by his croonies.
Лилия Павловна! Лилия Павловна! Петров Бабурина ударил!
Please, he's so fat he barely felt it! Semyon's cheeks grew even redder and his pimples even whiter like the heads of larvae. Ugh. But a smile flashed on his face that was all he noticed among his comrades. He got really close to me. The smell of rotten teeth washed over me.
Тебе пиздец!
His voice was evil and dangerous, like someone tore off the lid from a kettle with boiling fat. I was waiting to get hit, counting the thumps of my heart and guessing where his fist will go. The solar plexus? What is solar plexus? Wait, I'm stupid! Solar plexus, solar plexus. Dude, it's called... Okay, so like, in like, the middle of everything. Okay, Jesus Christ. The... well, okay. The jaw, the nose? The nose, sorry. My Slavic side when he woke up. But he just turned around and walked off. A thought, cold and sober and extremely rational, popped up in my head. I'm going to get killed today. Oh, let's not be over dramatic here, Anton. I was late to leave the school after class on purpose. Semyon didn't attend the last period, so I was hopeful. What if he decided to dodge the cleaning duty and run home, forgetting all about me? I heaved a sigh of relief, like someone on death row whose execution was delayed by a day. But I didn't let myself forget his tone, his vengeful gaze, and his scary electrified smirk. While the other students were leaving the school laughing loudly, I was pretending to skim through my books near a window. I was staring outside, nervous. Semyon was nowhere to be found in the front yard or near the school gate. I didn't really believe I was this lucky, so I decided to be extra cautious and stayed for some more time in the corridor that was gradually getting less crowded. All of the bustle moved to the first floor. There was a skeleton peeking out of the biology classroom. Some jokesters put a cap with the American condor on its head. The sound of running water were coming from the bathroom. I was the only person left in the whole school. I'm not alone, a sudden thought came to mind. I remember the missing boy. His portrait was on the notice board near the schedule. I remember his smile, him looking at me, and the fact that he's mostly likely already dead.
Привет.
Getting hit there takes breath out of you. It's really unpleasant. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Like, how was it called again? Whatever. But, it happened like 3 times in my life that I fell straight onto this point and I started like panicking. Because when you fall on this, like, it's like in the middle of your chest somewhere, right? You fall on it, you suddenly like lose your breath and you cannot breathe. And it happened 3 times. First time when I was like, I don't know, 6 years old, and in the back in the old house, in my mom's family home, we had like this kind of porch that had like a small step. And instead of like going down, I stumbled and I fell from it to the ground in front and it took my breath away. Another time I slipped on my grandma's house and that happened again. And the third time, which was the most scary part for me, was when some guy crossed my path when I was skiing. I fell because of that, because he basically like went through my skis. So like I couldn't turn around because he blocked my skis with his own. I fell. Then some other guy who was skiing ran me over. And it's like, it just like, got me onto the ground to the point when I couldn't breathe. I was just like alone on the ski slope and trying to catch my breath, which I couldn't. That was awfully terrifying of an experience. I didn't want to. I remember because it was the first day on our skiing trip, and I remember I was like, I don't want to go back to this ski slope. Like, let's go somewhere else, please. Because like I immediately like I thought it's going to happen again because like trauma. quick speed run to trauma, you know? Like I hate when that happens. It's awful. It never happened to me ever again, but it's scary, you know? It's as if you're choking and you cannot do anything about it. Remembering it, it's just like, ew. We need ski police. Yeah, that was goddamn awful. Okay, back to the game. I shuddered and turned around. OMG. A female. At my first eye stumbled upon the black violin case. Then I noticed the girl from my class was holding it. She sat in the first row on the second column. I could swear I caught her looking at me a couple of times. And I was sneaking glances at her myself. Sometimes it just feels nice to look at something pretty. Something pretty! Wow, Anton. Wow, okay. Something pretty. Wow. Spring, the sky, or a girl that's not in the crowd that laughs at Semyon's jokes. And she wasn't whispering the dirty laundry of other people to Katya. She spent all the breaks just like me, staying in the classroom or looking in the window or drawing something in her green notebook. I turned red and pretended I was studying the pattern of the wooden floor. Thank you. I did my best to hit him. I started shoving books in my backpack to at least put something in my hands.
Бабушка мне его по секрету сказала, что он словно взбесился. Семёна даже старшеклассники побаиваются. Представляешь? А ты вот молодец.
You're not like the other guys. I mumbled in reply. Yeah, right. Me, brave? A hero that has been standing around in the hallway to avoid a beating? The girl looked at me with her clear, attentive eyes.
А ты за рекой живешь? В том деревянном доме?
Ну да.
Там, наверное, страшно. Да еще через лес идти. Я бы так не смогла.
Yeah, me neither, girl. I shivered at the mention of the forest. I thought of intertwining branches of a snake-like trail of endless darkness that spread like mold among the crooked trees. So I straight up lied.
Да не так уж там и страшно.
Yeah, no, it's not that scary. Not like we had like a moment of panic when we were there, right?
А что тебя так пугает?
She smiled after a brief pause, as if brushing off a daydream.
Да так. Ничего. Меня, кстати, Полина зовут.
А меня Антон.
Ну, это я знаю. Слушай, Антон.
She stumbled as if trying to decide whether she should continue.
А что ты делаешь после школы?
My chest felt prickly after her innocent question, yet somehow it felt pleasant.
Ничего такого.
I stumbled and didn't finish my sentence. Alisa's predatory smile flashed in front of my eyes. Nice, Anton. Talking to another girl, thinking of yet another girl. Wow. Her playful eyes in slits of the mask were probably just a product of my imagination, though. What if the fox girl is waiting for me after the school? Or was it another of her weird jokes? I wonder if she's hiding a big red tail under her coat. I suddenly got covered with beads of sweat, like after a PE class. I wanted to take a shower, as if just Thinking of the foxy girl made me dirty, soiled my clothes, lured me into the forest's embrace.
У меня сейчас занятие, скрипка, а потом я свободна.
Forgot how much of shrimp Anton is. It's okay, you can write simp here. On YouTube it's legal. But yeah, he's a shrimp simp.
Дедушка мне репетитора нанял. Наш учитель музыки, он же скрипач. А здесь, в поселке, ему некому преподавать. Только мне.
She waved her free hand in the air, imitating the movement of a bow on violin strings. I could almost hear the music. It chased Alice out of my head. I looked at Paulina's lips, catching her every word, and was frozen from the unusual sensations. They were warm, soothing, and tingly. It felt like I was very small, and the feelings were immense, and they couldn't fit inside me.
Тут говорят, что у нас в поселке маньяк завелся.
And that's another trope, like the serial killer as well. Like, you never know what to expect from the game.
Раньше
Also, this lamp is very well rendered. I'm sorry. It's just like I looked up and it's like, damn. I snuck a glance at Vova's photo. His eye wells were studying me. His lips were wearing black lipstick. Just like the portrait of a gravestone.
Ты не подумай, я не трусишка, просто мне кажется, что с тобой будет безопасно.
I hate... This is one of the hardest choices for me in game because like...
Меня до дома.
There it was. Finally, everything that I read about in adventure books, everything that I dreamt about was seeping into my life. A mysterious crime, a beautiful stranger, and a heroic duel. A duel. Thinking of Semyon's instantly sobered me up, returned me back to earth, and it started shaking under my feet like a deck of a ship. If only I could rise to the occasion in front of Paulina. Because no matter how brave I was trying to act, it was obvious for both of us that I wouldn't be able to stand a chance against a big guy like that. And him knocking me out won't even be the worst of it. The worst part is that Paulina will see all of that. And she will laugh at me like everybody else. No, I don't need anybody to see me in such a shameful state.
Сегодня вряд ли получится. Ты же знаешь, Семен, скорее всего, караулит на школьном дворе. Лучше мне с ним разобраться лично, по-мужски.
One-on-one like a man.
Глупости какие.
Paulina brushed off some hair off her forehead and I sensed a weak aroma of blackberry. Paulina was like water when you were thirsty. I feel like I'm reading a teenager's diary. You gulped it down and still wanted more. I remembered the summer evenings at the country house, the fire's pungent smoke, the berries hanging over our fence from the neighbors, and a soft coven of pine needles under my soles. Those few peaceful days when I felt completely safe. My mom resting in the hammock, my dad putting meat on a skewer. Could have I foreseen the upcoming catastrophe in the crackle of the coals, in our parents' laughs, in the smell of the fleeting July? Could I have seen how fragile that world was?
Думаешь, этот дикарь будет честно драться? Со своими дружками набросятся всем скопом, опомниться даже не дадут.
Paulina suddenly flashed a devious smile.
Но если мы пойдем вместе, это их ошарашит. Я же не только первая скрипка на деревне. Я ведь еще и девочка.
I'm not only a violinist, I'm also a girl.
Слышала от знакомого хулигана, что он никогда не нападает на кого-то в присутствии девушки. Представляешь, у них кодекс чести такой.
They're only not out. Never mind, I'm not going to spoil to those who never played this game. Never mind. A delinquent, you know? I thought worried. Is he better than me? Taller? More handsome?
Ой, мне на музыку пора.
Oh, we do know who she's talking about, those who know the game. She made a couple of steps and stopped. Amazing, Paulina didn't look like those beauties from the magazine posters of the actresses from the movies. But in the flickering light of the ceiling lamps, she looked much more alluring.
А ты играешь на чем-нибудь?
Yeah, on nerves. My parents bought me a guitar a couple of years ago. I immediately remembered my meager attempts at making music. Change. We're all waiting for change. Soy's song echoed my thoughts and my desire to change something. Or maybe it was Emil, I don't know. Viktor Tsoi, a singer and the frontman of a popular Soviet rock band Kino that played a mix of new wave and post-punk. Their hit songs Peremen, Changes, is one of the most popular rock tracks of the new Russian era. Died in the car accident. Huh. That guitar got lost somewhere, as if refusing to move to the old house near the forest. I think my parents gave it away to someone that needed it more.
Увы, не играю.
Жалко. Ну ладно, я побежала.
Oh well, bye.
Пока!
Paka. Her shout was captured by the loud echo. Her shoes also echoed through the school hallways.
Пока!
I wasn't sure if Paulina heard me. I looked out the window again. The schoolyard was empty, just a couple of grade schoolers throwing snowballs at each other. Nobody who looked like the hulking Semyon with his cronies. This was giving me hope. What should I do? Paulina could become my friend, the first one in this new place. Well, that's a lie. Alisa is our friend. He already forgot about that. And besides, she may be in real danger of meeting a killer and I'll be her defender, her knight. And even though my inner voice was hesitant and whispered about running away from the killers lurking in the woods at night, Paulina was worth the risk. But the red cunning fox was also intriguing. She promised me to help look for Vova, and this will bring me a reward. More money will almost guarantee peace in my family. Girl is a girl, doesn't matter. Now go for training. Gifts for Olia. I imagine my sister happy like those girls who get prizes from Suponev in Defiance Hour. What the fuck is that? Sergei Suponev, a Soviet and Russian TV host, the most prolific showman of the Russian kids TV in the 90s. He hosted teen quizzes as well as computer entertainment shows. Suponev died on December 8, 2001 when he crashed his snowmobile into a river pier. That's insane type of a death. She'll be dancing with the famous singers, maybe a new popular boys band like Ivanushki International. Okay, what's that? A Russian boy band. Okay, so it's like, you know, Backstreet Boys or something. Popular in the 90s and early 2000s and consisted of 3 singers. Its songwriter and vocalist Igor Sorin died to a fall from the 6th-story balcony. The official police report claimed it to be a suicide. Oleg Yakolev substituted him in the band and later died from cirrhosis. What is cirrhosis? Wait, I need to check. Cirrhosis. Oh, it's a condition in which your liver is scarred and permanently damaged. Okay. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Let's go. Mom and dad hugging in the Ostankino pavilion. And then all of us going to Disneyland. Well, we have a choice. A female or a furry female. Which genuinely... it's one of the hardest decisions. But I think going for Alisa is a little bit more interesting. For later on adventures of ours. So, but let's first check out the things. An abandoned zinc bucket with a rag on the bottom of it, filled to the brim with murky tap water. It reeked of salty chemicals, and the stench was so intense that I felt sick. I staggered away from it, praying that I don't meet the same fate as the person on the cleaning duty. Turn me around and I'll tell you who's stupid. I bet something offensive is written on the other side. I wonder how long would Semyon keep turning it around if it fell into his hands. Right. Somebody left their school shoes on the windowsill. Judging from their size, they belong to a boy my age. Ah, interesting. I wonder whose those are. Do you think it's Vova's? Like, as a sign? Or maybe someone else's? I think that if we choose Alisa, we can get like a little bit of a more interesting... Eventually you'll end up with Hinata. Wait. Rasengan Semyon. I think if we go back with Paulina, we got some cool thing, but there is a fight incoming. And I want to win. So we're going with Alisa. After closing my backpack, I ran down the stairs. I scanned my surroundings through the window in the main hall. Nobody suspicious inside. The school doors creaked. The sound was similar to the music from a thriller, the high note that comes before an intense scene. Alisa is much more of my anime girl type. You mean like insane, but actually like smart? I ran around the school corner trying not to catch anyone's attention. The smell of pastry and burnt sugar wafted from the school cafeteria. I froze when I saw a silhouette in the second floor window. It must be Paulina, gliding a bowl of violin strings with her head slightly tilted to the side. To be fair, we would have to wait for Paulina, and like with Alisa we can immediately leave, right? It's like, dude, like, you know, like those sessions of playing an instrument, they take hour long, sometimes longer, so bruh, obviously we want to leave the school earlier, right? I wish I could hear the melody she played, but Paulina was only a dark outline on the window's yellow sheet. Saying you can't understand her, so you think she's more intelligent than you? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Right. I dragged my feet forward. Kinda right. And there's suddenly not a suspicious guy at all. Fun. Very fun. Okay, so we got the net on a football goal in the yard fluttered in the wind. The same wind that hurled small white whirlwinds through the field. Somewhere nearby, an invisible tractor was humming, scaring away the crowd of cawing birds. The hum of its engine sounded like the howls of hungry beasts that chased me through the snowy desert. Alisa and her scary mask also came to mind. Right now, in the light of day, it was really hard to believe she was real. What did she say back then? At the backyard near the hanged man. What did she mean by that? Well, this is a fucking hangman, you idiot. Fuck, I didn't click at the guy first! Shit! I looked at the wall. There was a hanged man drawn under a thin black line of resin. Someone played hangman there. Something was scribbled on the both sides of the man. Escape, fear, truth. Fuck! We didn't click the guy. I hope that I don't have to do that. It took me a while to realize where the sound was coming from. My eyes strolled through the cul-de-sac at the school backyard, through windows and snow. Fuck, there was a guy in there. Now I cannot do that. I cannot even check anything else. Fuck, there are like drugs everywhere. One of the snow piles started trembling like a volcano before it erupted. Jump scare! In the blink of an eye, the white crust crumbled and the fox jumped at me. She made a gracious bow, enjoying the effect her appearance had on me. The silver of snow shined on her coat. I couldn't even imagine that thinking about girls with tails can be this... I don't know what to compare it to. Anton realizing he likes furries. Okay, this is the moment. This is the moment. Clip it. Something infectious? Toxically sweet? She giggled so enthusiastically that it forced me to smile. I mean, I think we saw the guy still in the front of the school, so it should be fine. If not, I'll like just do a quick replay if it will be necessary. I quickly rolled a ball of snow and threw it at Alisa. She tried to dodge, but it was too late. A hit to the shoulder. The fox slowly backed down, trying to arm herself. Her retribution was swift. A snowball arched its way above the snowy yard, and the ravens flying in the air. I wanted to duck, but slipped and fell to my knees. And while I was getting up, I caught a huge chunk of snow with my face. It burned up from the cold. I swore loudly from immense disappointment, using the word I heard in Sector Gaza's song on the cassettes I hid from my parents' cassettes, sorry. A Soviet and Russian rock band that played the so-called kolkhoz hillbilly punk. Founded by songwriter and singer Yuri Klinsky. Yurakoi. The band often paid homages to popular Western rock bands and used a lot of profanity and fairy tale themes in their lyrics. Supposedly died from overdosing on drugs. Jesus Christ. The deaths there. I love how they mention, oh, they died this way or that way. This is kind of like fun. If Dad heard this, he would have definitely gave me a good whipping. He had very low tolerance towards obscene words and always communicated in clean Russian. She brushed off my hood as if to show compassion, took me by the elbow and helped me get up. That's cute! With care uncharacteristic for a child, she took off my glasses, blew away the snowflakes that were stuck to them, and handed them back. Only people who were close to me called me Dad. And I haven't even seen her real face. Didn't know her last name, what class she was from, and if she had a real tail under her coat. That's the most important thing for him right now. Does she have a tail? I can't.
Мы хотели поискать Вову, помнишь? Лучше поторопиться, а то меня родители станут искать.
The fox let out a lazy yawn. I love the yawns.
Как скучно. Да давай чуть-чуть поиграем. Все равно тебе дома тоскливо.
А ты откуда знаешь?
Тоже мне тайна.
Shit, I will have to redo it. I see now that you cannot do that if you see the guy, if you can see the guy 3 times, so we have to redo it, I guess. Fuck. It's not even a secret. Okay. It's okay, I'll do it off stream.
Всегда. У меня от стены взрослых нервный тик. Вот.
Her furry fox brow started twitching. I faked a laugh in reply, unsure whether being able to move parts of her mask like that was genuinely funny or not.
Ну же, Тоша, решайся. Я же вижу, ты хочешь.
I forgot that, like, sometimes the, what you do first counts. I thought, like, I can explore.
Если победишь.
The fox girl got dangerously close to me and stood on her tiptoes, almost touching my face with her rough little nose. Playful fires danced deep in her eyes. She smelled nice, like berries in saccharine. When will differences occur? End of this chapter? No. It will be, I believe in the next chapter. The start of the next chapter, I believe. Yeah, start of the next chapter. That's why it's like not very necessary. But in here, will there be differences? There will be one difference that you definitely did not see in my previous gameplay, so... Is this the smell of independence and true freedom? I mean, the kind where all you have to do in your life is run wild and eat sweets. Her whisper poured into my ear like scalding hot water.
Если победишь, буду твоим провожатым. Поверь, мне есть что тебе.
We will see the differences from like my gameplay, but the difference of like not getting the guy here, because we need to see the guy thrice. To do something later on in chapter 3. That's why I'll have to redo it quickly, but it's fine. Like, there is a speedrun skipping thing, which will lead me, like, it will take me like 5 minutes total, probably.
Найдем твоего Вову.
It's like a small thing, but I think it's a good thing because, like, I think it adds the item or something. I know it's good for achievement, but I'll never know because I have not played it until the very end, so maybe it will be a very important part. That's why I want to do it for sure. I felt as if a giant invisible spring bent inside me. My tummy hurt, but the sensation was somehow not exactly unpleasant. It was so weird. I just had a conversation with Paulina and now Alisa was going to drag me along with her. I felt like my mind was becoming blurry, splitting in two, like those gravestones on the TV record.
А если проиграю?
Душу из тебя выцарапаю, неженка.
She burst out laughing, whipped the hem of her coat, and ran toward the road we used to come to school in the morning. Her promise, that sounded almost like a threat, hypnotized me. He likes his girls dangerous. I bent down and scooped up some snow. I wish I had a device that could tell whether Alisa was joking or being serious. Or is there always a third option with people like her? Between her jokes, her laughter, and her hot breath on my ear, I wanted to win. To punish her for the lightness and freedom she possesses that was clearly too much for an average girl. When I, on the other hand, was possessed, or rather intoxicated by the thirst for adventure, by my curiosity. Just like that time when I ate cherries from Mom's nalivka and lied down with my eyes closed while the bed was spinning underneath me. So nalivka is nalevka probably, right? A sweet alcoholic drink made from fruits and berries, often called berry vodka. It normally contains only 25-30% of... I love how they wrote! It normally contains only 25 to 30% of alcohol. You are like... It's so clear that it's like Slavic person writing that. Because if those were Americans, it contains like 25, 30... TV. Okay, in official numbers, we tell to the police eventually. It's like only 25, 30. I spat and cleaned my lips. Do you want to play, little sister fox? Well then, let's play. I armed myself with a snowball and chased the fleeing fox girl. I saw a familiar street with the wooden posts that didn't look scary anymore. They were just logs covered in snow. If I were to show now, the guard dogs would start barking and their owners would peek out their windows. Alisa's small silhouette was mocking me from far away, so it was useless to try hitting her with a snowball for now. Waste of ammunition. Birches, mutilated by the cold, peeked out to view along the clear road. A giant snow pile towered near one of the trees. This was probably the place where the tractor brought all the snow from the village. A whole family of foxes would fit in such a pile. No, I thought. She's the only fox around here. She alone is already too much. My second morning acquaintance was running around near the edge of the forest, the stray dog with a mangy tail. She sniffed around and marked the naked berry bush and ran toward the other ones. Alisa showed up from under the hill. The dog's ears perked up. It barked in agreement and followed her lead. We ran farther and farther, exchanging snowballs, laughing and stumbling. The winter forest towered in front of us, reaching for the low clouds. We were at the edge of its shadow, bony and almost corporeal. The fox hid behind a huge pine, clearly trying to get close to me and shove some snow down my collar. Ah, the worst feeling. It was a good plan, but Julka, who was running circles around her, gave her away. I brought off a dry branch and decided to act even trickier. I put my hat on it and picked it from the side of the pine. He's like Soviet snipers, bro. I'll make her think that it's my head. I bit my lip to stop myself from laughing, then jumped out from the other side and performed a point-blank throw. Alisa probably cracked my plan right away, but still let me win 3-1. I was wounded in the leg and she got shot in the chest and in the stomach, losing imaginary blood in front of my eyes, pleading for mercy while also choking from laughter. It's cute. It's a cute moment. It is a cute moment, you know? Like, for the first time, Anton actually acts like a kid. She pretended to bow to me, then grabbed 2 full handfuls of snow and, like a dying warrior, threw them my way in a last-ditch effort. I dodged her attack easily, laughing uncontrollably, and being mad at the same time. I finished her with 2 precise shots.
Молчи, ты умерла уже.
Тоже мне помеха. Давай сыграем в кое-что поинтереснее.
She dashed behind the trees after blowing snow in my direction. Ah, once again the rhyme. I hesitantly moved toward the windfall. I thought I was a real tail gliding across the bushes. I rushed to the intertwined branches that helped Alisa to hide, as if something was pulling me there. I had to move them, tear them off like spiderweb. Branches sprang back in my face, but it felt like they were caressing my cheeks and not hitting them. I was sweating, but still had a lot of stamina left. I'll make sure to catch you, little fox. Alisa's voice was wandering among the windfall.
7, 8, бьем копытом озимь! А я тебя недооценила. Думала, ты просто мальчик.
Confident that she was behind the dry pine, I rushed to intercept her. But the local acoustics tricked me. Her voice was already echoing from the other side.
А ты зайчик! Шустренький, хорошенький!
She called us cute again. A snowball flew at me from the shadows, whistling near my ear.
Я тебе дам, зайчик.
Дай мне зайчика, дай!
A bright fox fur coat flashed near a rotten stump. I rushed there, jumping over a ravine.
Зайчик, выходи скорей! Мясом накорми зверей!
This very color that flashed from every tree was the most important thing in the world for me. My lips started trembling as if I was a cowboy that was chasing his prey. One jump and the fox was in my embrace, so smooth and desirable.
Все, ты победил!
She leaned against the scratchy bark and started puffing.
Пожалуйста, давай немного отдохнем. Ты слишком быстрый, слишком сильный, лакомый, слишком.
Okay, that's a little bit suspicious. Satisfied, I put my hands on my sides, waiting for the spoils of war from the defeated girl. But what I got instead was a sly snowball in my smug face. The cunning fox ran away, roaring with laughter, but I wasn't even mad about it. I needed to catch up to Alisa, to tackle and subdue her. Tear off her mask and see everything.
Бедный зайчик!
Where's she going out? Blasphemy! I'll stop you right here! Hello!
Страшно в лапы волку, серому попасть.
It's a child, Blasphemy. We do not talk about
Прижимает
them like that.
на небо косится, небо не видать.
The sky really did disappear under the trees. I moved using the barking of Julka as a guide, since she was closely following her owner, and I was getting closer. And the same trail I imagined back at school blinked under my feet. It turned out that running like there's no tomorrow was so easy. Faster, higher, faster. I felt like there was a well of untapped potential inside me, and I drew from it. My muscles were buzzing, my lungs felt bigger, and I felt much stronger overall. She can't seduce young Eminem, Anton. Even my vision became sharper. I saw every icy branch, every dent in the bark. Something colorful was lying near the bushes, a piece of clothing, another colorful spot to the right. Alisa was losing her clothes on the run, like shedding her skin. I also used my teeth to take off my mittens, excited by all that. I'll get naked and feel all the wind to the last drop. Oh, okay, Anton, chill! It's middle of winter! Do not undress! Faster. I reached out to take off my hat, to throw away everything that stops me from running wild in this endless forest. The backpack slowed me down, so I threw it in the snow along with all the pens that were inside, with all the notebooks, all of my drawings on the sidelines, and a dinosaur for Olia. Olia. Suddenly a clear picture appeared in my mind. My sister standing still near a window, basking in the dusking sun. Her small childish palms are pressed to the glass, leaving marks when they warmed it up. She could warm up the whole world like that. She's looking at the taiga and saying my name.
Тоша!
I stopped, took a deep breath, and realized how rash and stupid I was, trying to undress in the middle of a forest while chasing a fox. I returned to get my backpack as if it was a part of my being I dropped. I remembered again how my sister didn't like to be left home alone, how she asked me to come home faster. What kind of brother am I? Running in the forest that I used to scare my little sister with? I'm having fun while she's not even allowed over the doorstep. Sit in your cage. Olya, and watch the same cartoons over and over.
Тоша!
Да, Оленька.
Тоша, а куда?
Where are you hoping to fuck her? Damn! Well, that was definitely not our sister saying that. From the darkness behind the pines, just like cavemen from their cave, appeared smirking Semyon with a bunch of his cronies.
Ну, здорово, Антошка.
And his two cronies.
Не вышло сдрыснуть, да?
Очкарик в зубе сарик на.
SpongeBob, here you go again. Actually, SpongeBob stole his teeth, I think. They surrounded me like a carnivore's pride, making me step back. The smell of sweat and tobacco attacked my nostrils. The inside of my mouth felt salty as if I licked a battery.
Алиса!
When you lick a battery, it's salty? The name of my companion turned into a stifled cough. Pines were swaying back and forth like solemn guardians. I was frantically looking everywhere. I dreamt of finding that fox among trees, expected her to come to my rescue. But only the wind replied to my pleas.
Где Алиса? Что вы с ней сделали?
I shuddered after hearing my own voice. It sounded unnatural, rough and scary.
Какая еще Алиса? У тебя чё, кукуха поехала?
Actually no.
Не ссы, ща вмиг вылечим.
The fatso spit through the gap in his teeth and pushed me so hard that I hit my back against a tree.
Ну как, полегчало?
It can't be. Did Alisa really lure me into this trap, to these bastards? No, I can't believe this.
Глядите-ка, пацаны, а здесь он не такой борзый, как в школе.
Ага, вылитый терпиловна.
Ты, сука, приезжая, не на того руку поднял.
Semyon was moving toward me, readying his fist. In that moment, the other delinquent in track pants made a loud whistle, and the hulking boy lowered his hand. It was unexpected. Seems like Baburin wasn't the leader of this gang. In reality, they were all listening to the boy who was looking like a small carnivore with very strong and sharp teeth. Probably decided to have some fun at my expense first.
Слышь, Гондон Батькович,
Hey! No slur words here!
это что ли твоя Алиса?
Only then I noticed Julka beside my legs, trembling from the cold snow plastered all over its fur. The delinquent squatted in front of the dog and beckoned it with his hand.
Ой ты, батюшки.
Don't touch the dog! Don't you dare!
Алиса, ко мне, сучка блохастая.
The others let out nasty laughs. The dog's ears perked up and she started carefully moving closer. Don't!
Иди сюда. Иди, дам кое-чего.
Okay, I knew it's going to happen, but it's like, I hate those kind of moments! The dog didn't even have a chance to sniff him when this animal abuser caught it by the ear and kicked it right under the tail, so hard it flew into the nearest snow pile, squealing. Disgusting. The whole gang burst out laughing and my heart got encrusted in ice. Even the birds that were perched up on tree branches let out frightened calls. At the edge of my vision, I saw something flash in the illusory twilight of the sleeping forest. Or were that just bushes moving their icy branches in the wind?
Робка, она ж больше срать не сможет. Давай теперь я.
Oh, fuck off.
Второй раз ебану минус на минус да плюс.
But the stray was already nowhere to be seen. Thank God.
Чего ты, баран? Втолкуй его на очкарику, где его место. Только так, чтобы он понял.
Ага, за ним косякна. Этот очкарик тебе при всем классе всек.
Да без Б.
Yeah, no thank you. Semyon brought a sizable signet ring with some geometric shape carved in it up to my face.
Ща, парашник, я тебе этой печаткой так заряжу. Клеймо на всю жизнь оставит.
Stop with the slur words! Not only you hit dogs, but you're also slurring all the time. Stop it! Stop it! Where did all of my inner strength and bravery go?
Стой!
A wheezy whisper left my lips A wheezy whisper left my lips, and my head tilted forward, hitting Semyon's fist. Red sparks flew from my eyes. Ouch.
Яша, подсоби!
Semyon gave a rough push toward the bastard with the slanting eyes, and he tripped me. I fell on the sharp crust of ice, and the fatso stopped on my hand, preventing me from getting up. A painful groan escaped my throat.
Слыхали, как заныл? А ты случаем не педик?
I started to lose breath from anger and resentment. The pain was growing. My ear was hot and pulsating. Pain was shooting through it, like it was cut off and the ball of nettle was sewn in its
Чё
place.
молчишь, Антошка? Отвечай, ты педик?
At this moment I felt pure, unbridled rage, the amalgamation of my anger. Like the sprout's ink, it rose up from the depths of my mind, filling all my thoughts.
Лори! Знаете, что мой отец... Кто-то педик!
Semyon burst out laughing. This became the last straw. Fear and anger were grappling. Fear and anger? No, this is not like... Fear and hunger, that's the game. Not fear and anger, never mind. Fear and anger were grappling inside me like mad dogs.
Айкидо занимался, поняли?
I also know some Aikido. Actually, I don't remember shit.
Таких, как вы, с закрытыми глазами убивает! Я только слово скажу, он...
Ronka lifted up his arm, stopping my torrent of lies, and made a couple of steps forward. Semyon slowly backed off, giving me an opportunity to stand up. Did he believe me? Or was he confused by my face, twisted with rage?
Воевал, говоришь? Мой батя тоже воевал. В Афгане. А твой?
И мой.
Да, и в каких войсках, интересно?
I stumbled, fear chopped at my rage's throat and made it bleed.
Да он фуфло гонит, Ромка! Бля, будуна!
Думал, меня так просто развести? Я тебя, сучонка, насквозь вижу.
There was a nasty smile on his face now. This didn't bode well for me.
Ты сам себе приговор подписал.
В школе тебя училка спасла, ну а теперь все! Хана тебе!
Во-во! Давай, Антошка, молись, чтобы твой труп по весне нашли б.
Сидел бы ниже травы, был бы целочкой. Жирного стукнул, одно дело.
Okay.
Но про Афган пиздеть, где мой батя под пулями. Долг интернациональный. Вдашьте
I mean, that's actually fair morals. Like, you know, like, don't pretend that, like, someone was in war. That's got him awful. It's like, yeah, fuck that you hit this guy in the face. That doesn't matter. But now this is asshole-ish. Fair. Dasht de Margo, a desert region in the southern provinces of Helmand and Nimruz in Afghanistan. Its name can be translated into English as Plain of Death. During the conflict in Afghanistan, the Soviet army destroyed countless drug caravans headed to Iran there. Okay.
Сёма,
I'm shit at history when it comes to these times, so... The delinquent closed in on me again, and I ended up in front of Semyon. Blood was pumping in my temples. Branches were swaying back and forth as if whispering something, giving me hope. I gritted my teeth, fighting the thought that I looked silly, and took a boxing stance I often saw in the movies.
Хера ты, Майк Тайсон!
This was my first ever fight. I'll remember it for the rest of my life, if I don't kick the bucket, of course. At the edge of my vision, I noticed the darkness writhe again, as if someone was walking back and forth there. I sensed Roma's claws grab my backpack.
манатки, Антошка. Махаться мешает.
I was about to refuse, unwilling to cooperate with the bastard, but then he fished a butterfly knife out of his pocket with one smooth motion, spun it as if showing off, and put the blade to my neck.
Слышь, Фрей, расслабься, а то больно будет.
Fun fact, in one of the endings, because there is one ending accessible with 4 chapters, yeah, he got stabbed to us, and this is the item that makes us end up in early endgame. I let out a cloud of steam instead of words. Ronka pulled with all his might and my backpack ended up with his hands. Calm and relaxed. An insidious smile on his face, he looked into my backpack.
От нас что-то скрываешь, да? У меня в школе какая-то крыса сменку подрезала.
Oh, he left the shoes, that fucking idiot.
Ща поглядим, может это был...
You left it on the windowsill, you fucking idiot!
Опачки!
Ronka gave me a dubious smile. We had the bunny scissors, I did not remember that.
Так, а что это у нас здесь?
Thank God that the, you know, the turbo picture didn't fall off. My text and notebooks fell in slow. I was holding my backpack in one hand and something weird in the other. It looked like a mask. Roma lifted it high, as if showing to someone else, to someone in the treetops, in the twilight among the trees. An old bunny mask. Long, worn-out ears, barely visible nose, and the whiskers, mangy fur on this side. I did not remember it being, like, old. So what can that mean is that possibly it belonged to someone else before. Someone else who now doesn't need it. Or have different... either run away from this kind of life. Like, you know, let's call it furry cult for now. For the lack of better words. Or they still there, but in a new role, like, let's say, forest master, or how was he called? I don't know. Where did it come from? Who put it there? Semyon laughed.
Новый год уже прошел, мудила. Или ты реально поехавший? Это не мое.
Да как не твое, В твоем портфеле лежала она.
Ronka was watching this scene unfold with an evil smile on his
А
face.
знаешь что? Надевай.
Зачем?
Надевай, говорю. Попрыгаешь перед нами, зайчик.
Давай, давай! Или без штанов домой пойдешь на.
Anything but this. What if someone from our class will pass by?
Надену.
Сёма, надень-ка на него.
Biasha rushed to his friend's side and took the worn-out mask from him with a buffoonish bow. Then he passed it to Semyon, who was already rubbing his hands in anticipation. I looked around the pine woods, as if waiting for help, as if the shadows that writhed around us would take the pity on me and take my side. Branches looked like arms twisted in unusual angles. Blackened bark was their charred skin, and the darkness was the smoke they produced. I can't run, won't get away, they'll catch me. And then...
Только учти, Сёма, если он скакать не станет, ты сам за него поскачешь.
Этот чмошник и не станет? Да погляди на него, он же дурик конченый.
Этот дурик тебе уже раз в жбан зарядил.
Ромка прав. Давай, толстый. Восстанавливай.
Assert your fucking dominance!
Или сам у нас запрыгаешь так, что тетяндра отцепится.
He must indeed be scared of Ronka. Semyon swore silently and glared at me.
Вот, это чтобы маска хорошо налезла.
Disgusting. He hurled a huge ball of spit on the inside of the plastic bunny face and put it close to mine. His spit looked like squashed spider. Ronka's face twisted, he spasmed like a beast, like he wanted to tell Semyon something, but then he suddenly stopped. Semyon was still close by with a disgusting smirk on his face and a terrible smell coming from his mouth.
Надевай, быра! Оттурую!
The mask almost looked like even more disgusting now, yet despite everything, I felt like it was a chance for salvation. It could become my second skin, if only I was to put it on, if only my face was to touch this bumpy surface. I'm sure the fur will glitter and the ears will tremble like they're alive. That was the biggest bait that happened to me in the first game. I just need to put it on and Samuel and his friends will be gone forever. Yeah, we're telling them to fuck off because if we put it on, we're going to get it, like, become a laughing stock. So, let's go. For some reason, Ronka's disappointment with Samuel made me feel brave. Something was wrong in their crew, some old disagreements. I should cut this old wound open. Now I think about it. I didn't think about it before, but Polina said like Semyon wasn't like that before, so she probably was kind to Semyon, and that's what made Romka start bullying him into submission. That's probably what happened, right? Because this idiot is... Okay, well, you will see, for those who didn't see me play before or didn't play this game themselves. I should cut this old wound open. I need to get into their heads, right into their skulls, their worm brains.
Знаешь что, Семен?
My own voice, smooth and determined, was a huge surprise. You see, if you cannot fight with fists, fight with words. I stepped forward and calmly proclaimed.
Иди нахуй.
Damn! It felt like the whole word was paused for a second and then unpaused right away. Shock and peace then, right here. Semyon's pupils widened, the mask fell out of his meaty hands. He took a while to process my words, looking stunned as if he was trying to solve a difficult math problem, but the answer he got made him mad, judging by the bulging veins on his forehead. The others just observed this scene silently, waiting for the inevitable payback.
Ты труп!
His voice tore off icy crust from the nearby branches. It rained down with a melodic laugh. And then I heard whispers from the treetops, from holes in the ground, from animal lyres. As if Alisa was in one of the snow piles, like a prompter in his booth, trying to get through to me. With no sign of fear, rather with a tinge of playful rage. That's how this low hum sounded to me. I stared into the clearing between the trees. An orange spot flashed there. A fox, an absolutely regular fox, stepped out of the bushes. I blinked in bewilderment. The animal fell on its tummy and was staring back at me with its burning eyes. Its fur tail was sweeping snow left and right, raising the white powder. I was still looking past him at the fox that was smiling at me. She grinned with all her teeth while digging a hole in the snow pile, moving her paws as if dancing. Her sharp face was covered in snow, her whiskers were trembling. The fox put her face to the ground, shining platters of her eyes filled up with liquid silver. I returned my gaze to Semyon's twisted face. He was growling something unintelligible. The fox backpedaled and disappeared into the darkness, and the forest breathed at me, whispering. I slapped my own cheek to chase away the unfamiliar voice, but the message still lingered in my subconscious. This hint was my chance. I started intensely at Semyon's nose. He was almost oinking from anger. I directed my words at him.
Заткнись, свинья.
Damn! Semyon looked paralyzed. Yeah, no, 2 times calling him badly, he's already like, what? Yeah, we got a fox in the... As if the medium Alan Chumak hypnotized him, striped him off his will. A Soviet and Russian TV personality that represented himself as a healer and a medium claimed to acquire his healing power during his investigation into fake mages. He had invented the idea of charging all sorts of items for the viewers through the TV screens, jars of water, photos or cosmetics, died from an unknown cause. You see, he was the first VTuber, or whatever. I felt the aftertaste of Alisa's gum in my mouth. Berries. It felt like I pulled a card from some greasy deck and it turned out to be a trump. My brain was at its limit. Polina's words about Semyon getting worse since he moved here flashed in front of my eyes like subtitles in a movie. All the pieces fell in place. My joker went flying into his pimply face. Was speaking slow on purpose, dragging out every syllable.
Есть у меня подозрение. Ты не просто так перевелся в новую школу. Сбежал, да? Как крыса сбежал. Потому что сверстники бывают жестокими с теми, кто не такой, как они. С теми, кто толще их, например, слабее. И ты решил издеваться над другими, как издевались над тобой.
I saw Semyon's Adam's apple twitch, like it was a pump action rifle getting reloaded.
Ты отыгрываешься за старые обиды. Хочешь казаться тем, кем не являешься. Но знаешь, Ничего не меняется по щелчку пальца. Знаешь, кем ты был?
The forest held its breath, listening in fascination.
Знаешь, кто ты есть?
Пацаны.
Biasha was about to come to his friend's aid, but Romka stopped him, whipping out his controlling look. Biasha turned around and put his hands in his pockets.
Продолжай, Тоха.
Romka is like, yeah, okay, so we're swapping sides because right now this four-eyed freaky kid is impressing me more than a badass. Romka's words ricocheted from the rough trunks.
Знаешь, кем ты будешь всегда?
Semyon looked around helplessly.
Второе имя, настоящее имя, которое дали тебе одноклассники.
Откуда?
Oh shit, wait. I didn't read that. Romka and Biasha looked at Semyon like he was their prey now. I even thought I saw them lick their parched lips. Okay, sorry, I clicked too fast. The wheel was also full of anticipation, dragging my scattered textbooks across the road. My thunderous scream echoed through the forest. Trees and ravines enjoyed it. The echo repeated it over and over, doubling, even tripling it. Romka grinned with all his teeth. Semyon's hands fell to the sides. He was on the brink of crying. I used this to my advantage. Let's go! One punch! I threw the strongest punch I could muster. And he's down! It was much stronger than the one in school. I ran my fist into his scared face and it produced a crackling sound. His pimply cheek danced like jelly under my fist. Semyon let out a sigh and plopped onto the icy road. He was touching the place where I hit him, still oblivious to what just happened and how did it come to this. After looking at him for a while, I realized I was smiling. Fatso returned to his senses and threw himself at me, his face twisted with anger. But I dodged his charge quite easily after the great practice I had playing with Alisa. He fell into the snow and landed right on the pile of dog feces. This made him squeal in agony.
Ай, красава, Тоха! Думал, ты сосунок, а он как жердяй уделал.
Semyon started sobbing after he realized the direness of his situation.
Сука! Че я бабушке теперь скажу? Она меня убьет, когда увидит.
Чего ты там скулишь? Тебя с параши не слышно.
Semyon's futile attempts at cleaning his coat caused a fit of giddiness from Biasha. I also smiled, angrily twisted my lips.
А ну вставай и скачи, как зайчик. Только желательно подальше, а то от тебя уже дерьмом несет. Фу!
Okay, Semyon, that's enough.
Идите вы все нахер!
His eyes red from tears stopped on me. I didn't even have the time to erase the smile from my face when Semyon lunged at me like a hawk and clawed at my face with his twisted fingers with gnawed fingernails. I threw a kick towards the layer of fat under the coat. At the same moment, the world became fuzzy. The black trees and the faces of my classmates all blurred.
А чё на это скажешь, сука?
He threw up a hand holding my glasses victoriously, but his triumph was short-lived. Two blurry silhouettes rushed forward. Sioma's former friends. I heard the familiar sound of someone being slapped around.
Не по-пацански поступаешь, гнида. А ну гони линзы назад!
This is how you get friends, guys. Basically, you need to, you know, make sure the third one is out of the way and you become the third one. Judging from Semyon sighing and grumbling, he didn't agree to his friend's terms.
Что творите? Ой, бля! На лоха позорного меня променяли! Ой, 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 ой! Да пошли вы в жопу! Тоже мне друзья!
A huge figure tumbling in the snow barely managed to break out from the rain of punches and ran for the hills, dissolving into the twilight.
Завтра в школе тебя выцепим, хрюндель!
Точно, точно!
до базара ответишь на!
Горло тебе перережу, слышишь?
Ronka and Biasha started throwing pieces of ice at the fleeing Semyon, but then switched to hurling mockery. The snow rustled. Two boys, clearly out of breath, approached me. I was finally able to make out their faces clearly.
Мои очки!
Блин,
Ronka cursed under his breath.
гандон этот стащил.
Зато мы ему всыпали одну сына! Завтра вот с таким фуфелом припрется, отвечаю!
Biasha let out a throaty laugh. My god, he thinks he's so funny. Hyenas in The Lion King would envy a laugh like that.
Ну и дела.
Oh boy.
Тоха, ты без очков хоть что-то видишь?
Немного.
A hand holding a red rectangle protruded from the mist. Romka was offering me a cigarette.
Угощайся.
I squinted, trying to make out the brand even though I didn't know anything about cigarettes. I haven't tried smoking yet, and I didn't really want to start. I wonder if they'll keep hanging out with me if I won't adopt all of their habits. After a moment of hesitation, I shook my head.
Спортсмен, что ли?
А ты в глаза
I like the
долбишь?
soundtrack in here. Are you blind or... Oh,
Ты
okay.
видел, как он Семёна четко вмазал?
До базара ноль, Mortal Kombat на. Плохо у нас Рокки Бальбоа.
Тогда уж и вон драга. Курим одну на двоих, гони Жигу.
Ronka pulled out a cigarette with his lips, and Biasha scrambled to find a lighter inside his pockets.
Тоха, что я сказать хотел? Не держи зла, брат.
Don't be mad, bro.
Тебя на вшивость проверяли. А то очки эти, а еще и маска.
Biasha lit a giant Tbilisi, and Romka smacked his lips, taking a long puff of his cigarette.
Меня, кстати, Ромка зовут.
He squeezed my hand so hard that my fingers hurt. His palms, full of dry, torn blisters, implied that he wasn't wearing a tracksuit for nothing.
Это вот Бяша. Ты не очкуй. Со свиньей мы лично пообщаемся.
He let out a cloud of smoke in my face, which instantly made me cough.
Ага. Пойду пока сумку соберу, а то темнеет.
I bowed to pick up my now empty backpack and look for its contents, hoping that my new bodies will disappear when I turn around. But they just stood there, passing a cigarette back and forth. Two small silhouettes with a small light wandering between them, with the pine trunks as the backdrop. It's kinda gay, you know, sharing a cigarette? They were waiting for me to finish picking up my textbooks while whispering something to each other. Romka was the one talking most of the time, though Biasha was just constantly sniffing with his running nose and mumbling in agreement. At that moment I saw that old battered bunny mask from papier-mâché among the snow-covered notebooks. Its empty eye socket could be filled with anything, with any eyes but this mask. Looks like it only wanted mine. Where did it come from and why was it in my backpack? I picked it up with utmost care, as if it could bite off my finger at any moment. It was just a carnival mask with a frozen spit on the inside. Still, something felt wrong about it. Something was writhing inside it, underneath the layers of old newspapers. I could hear 1,000 of tiny bodies rustling and trembling for. Something was trying to chew its way out. Ew! Maggots!
Готов, Тоха?
Yeah, that was disgusting. Romka's voice pulled me out of my nightmarish delusion and I threw the mask away in horror, somewhere I won't be able to see it anymore. My innards were twisted from disgust, but I stood up, trying to not to show it. Whether those maggots were real or just one of my delusions, I didn't care. All of this was too much for a single day. I wanted to get home as soon as possible.
Ладно, пацаны, мне пора уже. До свидания.
I held out my hand toward the two silhouettes to say goodbye. A couple of dark thin lines trembled in front of me. They stood without moving, as if studying me.
С кедрами закорешиться решил. Мы здесь вообще-то.
Oopsie. I realized that Ronka's voice was coming from behind and turned around, embarrassed.
Деревья хреновые кенты. Ты не ссы. Мы тебя до дома доведем, а то ты как слепой котенок.
That's actually cute. You know, it's like, I know they're assholes in general. You know, like bullies, bad thing. But then, like, we're not leaving you there. Come on, we'll take you home. That part is kind of cute.
Так здесь живем и сгниешь.
A cigarette butt hit against the stump with a flurry of sparks and started sizzling in the snow near my feet. The boys let out a strained laugh and took me by the arms. When we were leaving the clearing, I turned around in hopes to see Alisa, or at least some orange dot. What if... But I only saw a rambling tractor that was creeping out from the corner. Okay, and see, here we have the guy. A silhouette appeared on this side of the road, out of the fog. We made space to let that person through. Because of my blurry vision, the twilight semi-dark, it felt like it was a ghost floating towards us. When the silhouette got close, I was able to make out the features of an adult man. I recognized his dumpy outline. He was smoking near the school in the morning. The man gifted us with a busy stare of his cold eyes and moved forward, disappearing into the darkness. I was afraid that the unknown man will hear this offensive rhyme, but he was already too far away. We continued our journey. We were going alongside a still fire road in silence. The silence felt oppressing, coupled with my lack of vision, so I spoke. The Buryat kid just smirked in reply.
Брешешь. Пургу гнать, это он умеет. А звать его так, потому что блеет, как овца. Все после того, как из черного гаража живым выбрался.
And we have the Black Garage story, which is another intriguing thing within this story. So you remember about Black Garage. Biasha's face contorted at those words. I could see it even through the veil of blindness. He swayed and started mumbling something unintelligible.
Видишь? С ним так всегда, как об этой херне заговоришь.
Ты сейчас о чем?
Ты серьезно про эту страшилку не знаешь? На черной улице, в черной подворотне, стоит черный гараж. И он знает о тебе все. Где ты живешь, что любишь, с кем дружишь. Наверняка слышал о пропавших детях. Это тут не первый год происходит. Все местные знают, кто здесь замешан. Даже взрослые. Вообще, везет тебе? Ты вон в лесу, считай, живешь. Он к тебе так просто не сунется. Тупо сечет, что среди деревьев будет выделяться. А у нас эта хрень может где угодно поджидать. Иногда в конце переулка или возле дома. А еще идешь такой себе ночью, и тут раз! Он стоит, где совсем недавно пусто было. Дверь открыта, внутри мрак. И тут как?
Biasha pulled his cape over his head and started howling on a high, trembling note, trying to silence Romka.
Ладно, проехали.
I was trying to process Romka's story, but I couldn't figure out what to think of it. During this short time I've been in this snow-laden village, I realized one thing. A lot of people here had some sort of experience with something they couldn't explain. I looked at Biasha, who was pit-pattering to the side.
А вот скажи, нахрена вы-то сюда переехали?
I heaved a deep sigh while looking at my feet. Somewhere down below, the tips of my boots scooped up fog. I spoke words that I recited countless times.
У отца тут новая работа. И мама в поселке раньше жила. Давно еще при Союзе.
Здесь же нечего делать, только гнить. Ну или как Бяша, по лесам шастать.
Biasha fearfully showed his face from under his hood, like a snail crawling out of its shell, and listened in.
Он у нас турист. Летом целую неделю в палатке жил. Здесь, рядом. Прикинь? Хотя от мамки его звезданутой я бы сам в лес сбежал.
We kept on going, but it felt like it was the forest that was sliding by. Pines were black keys, and the space between them, the white ones. The thicket was playing its old creaky melody, the melody of roots, bear caves, and forgotten taiga skits. Snowflakes flew around, creating a disturbing illusion that somebody was wandering the forest. Somebody tall, unnoticeable, ready to camouflage as a tree or a snow pile. And then when nobody paid attention anymore, they'd just continue moving along the road. But it was just a trick of the light. There was no one there. At least I wanted to think that. Romka suddenly stopped and said,
Слышите? В лесу кто-то бродит походу.
The skin under my clothes started itching, my stomach started aching. I looked the way Romka was pointing.
Высоченный, причем с нашей скоростью идет.
There were no tall silhouettes behind the mass of pines, just shadows creeping in the semi-dark. Slow shadows, fast shadows, hungry shadows. The snow that fell silently from the branch made me shiver and bite into my lip, as if something huge lifted off the tree and flew away, maybe even toward us. Ronka picked up a pine cone from the ground and threw it into the thicket.
Эй!
His shout ricocheted as if it was a tightly sprung drum. The echo mocked Ronka. Then the silence reigned again.
Кто-нибудь видел?
I shook my head. The only thing I could see were the vertical strokes of trees, the darkness, the snow, and the hazy silhouettes of my companions. I remember the rough textured trunks, spongy lichen, and the icy bits on the bottoms of the ravines.
Пойдемте скорее, а то вечереет.
I was again grabbed by the elbows and dragged along toward the forest, toward the pointy spires of branches. The sun had finally sunk behind green peaks. The darkness writhed, spread its shoulders, and started spreading like smoke. It started snowing, thick, sticky flakes, white flakes, following the scent of dead meat. That's an interesting smell. Remember that smell of dead meat. Okay, that's interesting. We'll get to this part. You'll see. My vision had become a small island washed by dark waters. I was grasped by the same worrying feeling I had in the morning. I felt that somewhere far away, at the edge of my comprehension, I heard a very calm and silent flute playing. The sound was fragile, like ice in March, above the dormant waters of a bottomless lake. I scraped inside of my ear with my finger to get rid of that auditory hallucination. The forest was silent. I imagined a child walking at night under the watchful eyes of
А вы
pines.
знали Вову Матюхина? Мальчика, который пропал недавно.
А разве мы не его ищем, сладкий?
He shuddered and stopped staring at the person who was guiding me. At Alisa in her unchanging fox mask. The girl was gently holding my elbow.
Что ты здесь? А ведь я тебя потерял.
Потерял, потому что зазевался.
I squinted in suspicion.
Давно ты за нами идешь?
Что значит давно? Я всегда была рядом. Да и за кем? За...
Stunned, I looked around but couldn't find Roma or Biasha. And then I felt her cold finger on my wrist.
Пойдем же! Мы собирались искать Вову.
This is creepy. Without a chance to catch my breath, she started dragging me along through the forest. I was enveloped by the smell of tangerines, coffee, and firecrackers. I felt like I was a small kid again, being led into the unknown. I saw the dark silhouettes of trees ahead. The bushes, hedgehogs were wary, showing us their spikes. Something rectangular appeared in our way like a small box. I became petrified. I touched the edge of my eye, pulling back the eyelid as if I was trying to correct my vision. A garage made of metal rose up right from the windfall. It was big, no, huge, impossible to move without special equipment. Its walls were painted black, even blacker than the darkness around us. The fox sniffed around, and it seemed like her mask twisted in disgust.
Это здесь.
The worried voice of my companion scared me even more than this horrifying metal box.
Здесь? Я слышу его запах.
Oh.
Может, Вова играет с нами в прятки, и он решил спрятаться внутри.
I felt like I saw smoke from tentacles that split off the garage, searching for something in the wilted leaves. The fact that she was sounding so concerned in a way feels like either she's hiding some of the unpleasant past that's connected to her, how she became a fox she is now, or maybe something else, I don't know. But it is suspicious. These tentacles slithered along the snowy blanket, getting close to our feet. And there was a scary screeching sound coming from the other side of the huge black metal gates. Somebody or something definitely waited for us inside. Ah! Knock knock! Who's there? I thought that my nervous movements were similar to that of a marionette dangling in the hands of a puppeteer. I stepped toward the garage, holding my breath. I don't like it anymore. and gave the sheath metal door a small knock with my knuckles. Knock, knock, and then jumped back. Ah! Okay, I forgot about that part! For a moment, it seemed like someone growled in pain inside the metal walls. I heard rusty metal hooks jingle on the thick metal chains, awakening someone huge, who crawled to open the black gates. Oh! Nothing happened. My heart was racing. Oh, god damn it. Alisa, why? Still nothing. Knock, knock. I hesitated to turn my back to the garage, so I took Run! I heard a weak, scared voice through the sound in my head. Stumbled all over the place, I still rushed into the night that was swarming with shadows. I ran behind the crooked trunk of a pine, sure that Alisa was by my side. But after a moment had passed, I realized that the girl was nowhere to be found. Wait, let me go on the backlog. I did not read the entire thing. I hesitated to turn my back to the garage, so I took a couple of slow steps back, unable to tear my eyes off the stench oozing crevice, and was about to call Alisa when... Okay. The forest was mumbling its ancient chants, squeaking, ticking, rustling. I froze. I didn't know how much time has passed before I realized that I was standing in a complete darkness, in a circle of trees that were shooting up their trunks highly into the sky. Everything around me moved, trembled, my ears went numb from all the rustling. The treetops melted into the darkness of the cosmos. The bushes became empty cells whose occupants were suddenly set free. It felt like a clawed fang could fly out of that darkness into my stunned face at any moment. I heard a scream somewhere far away. Someone was looking for me, just like that boy who went missing. Tears stung my eyes. A big drop fell from my lashes. The scream was closer now, and for a moment, even I believed that I was about to be saved. One of the trees moved. It wasn't Ramka, nor was it Biasha. An adult, tall, with long arms. Many shadows that looked like dogs snuck around behind his back, but those beasts were much larger than Julka. The forest was dormant, no longer it hid its face behind the fake masks. I stood still like a deer pierced by the lights of an incoming truck, and the beasts all stared at me. In the semi-dark without glasses, I could see very little, but it was still more than enough for me to freeze in terror. A foul smell of animal piss and wet fur enveloped the clearing when the creepy procession with the giant at its head moved towards me. My legs gave way because of fear, and I fell to my knees into the snow. It looked like I was praying to that figure, to the trees, to the darkness. I didn't dare lift my eyes, so when he got close, showering me with the stench, for a moment I thought that his legs were covered in grey fur. I shut my eyes so tight that the red circles started dancing on the inside of my eyelids. I don't want to look, but I could still hear everything. His breath was akin to sandpaper that was scratching at my ears. His voice was deep, hoarse. No, it wasn't a voice. A roar. Ew. I fished my grandma's chant out of the pool of my memory. I got his stench and roaring in reply. Words could never protect against claws and fangs. I was helpless. And then I heard a familiar sweet voice nearby. Ew! Something hot slid across my throat like a meaty sticky rope. Someone's tongue. Ew! Ew! From the narrow embrasures of barely lifted eyelids, covered by my trembling fingers, I watched a horrifying silhouette tower over me. I was taking in the smell of kennels, compost pits and moss. In front of me stood a scary horned beast with the presence of a monarch. His posture told me of his electrifying nobleness. His horns supported the clouds, and his popped-out locomas pierced my ready-to-pop eyes with a thorny stare. His hands were full of gifts. Candy fell to the snow, sparkling with its fancy wrappers. silvery packs of chocolate bars and chupa chups sticking out from a snow pile with its plastic stick. No thank you. I'm not that big of a fan of bounty. Candy rained at my feet. A doll fell nearby, and then it started raining toys. A spinning top, a teddy bear with a torn up nose, red-headed Carlson without a propeller, a teen toy soldier with a flag, a firefighter truck, and a crop duster plane. The toys weren't covered in blood, but my imagination was painting them with red spots and crimson leaks, all on its own. The horned shadow of the beast moved over the treasures that once belonged to unknown kids. No thank you. Hairy hands reached into surrounding darkness, took out a mangy bunny mask that was haunting me. Well, that was very forceful, and forcefully pulled it over my face. The shadows of beasts around us slowly and graciously stood up on their rare legs. And then light hit my face, shattering the monster's figure in two. I put up my hand to protect myself. Flashlight's ray slid down.
Антон! Вот
Giga-chat father!
ты совсем сдурел? Это вообще как понимать?
I was staring at my dad, completely stunned into the space where the monster was just a moment ago. The clearing was enveloped in darkness again, but I could still barely make out the outlines of toys and candy in the snow. And I'm sure if I was brave enough to get close to the bushes, I would find a minimal prints there.
Язык проглотил? Одноклассники твои к нам пришли. Сказали, ты сбежал от них в лес, в самую чащу и...
That's interesting, right? It's like, we run away. And Anton has no memory of that.
Что это за дрянь ты напялил?
I pulled the mask down from my sweaty face and threw it into the heap of toys. Branches cracked in the distance. I pressed myself into my father's chest, enforced by fear, and he started looking around, alerted, and spoke in a tone of voice that was much more nervous.
Пойдем отсюда скорее.
He saw the toys and candies, so to a certain extent...
Мать узнает, такой нагоняй нам
Oh,
мало не
that's...
покажется.
Oh! I want to know what the story is about entirely. I'm too stupid to figure it out on my own. I reached out for my father, still feeling the chilling embrace of fear. I grabbed his firm hand, felt his quick pulse with my fingertips, then stood up and wobbled behind my father, following his barely discernible footprints. Back to civilization, back to light, back to the road where my dad parked his car.
Чтобы дома ни слова, ясно? Ни единого намека, где я тебя нашел.
That's also interesting.
Да, пап.
Why he does not want, possibly, Anton's mother to know, right? That's weird. He was holding my hand as if it was the most precious thing in the world and kept telling me how afraid he is to lose me or Olya. But it wasn't that sticky like an animal tongue fear. His fear was noble, crystal clear diamond, and I just nodded in reply and kept moving my feet. And then I heard a familiar voice coming from behind me.
Помни, пока ты со мной, никто тебя здесь не тронет.
Sure, Alisa, but someone licked me and you looked at it and cheered at it. The car sped towards our house. I do not believe her anymore. Ugh. The black garage. I pressed my cheek against the window and saw a short building among the trees, shack darker than night. The garage was hidden inside the thicket, a crypt made of metal. It almost felt like it was following us. A moment passed and the building disappeared around the corner. I gulped down my dollar. And the white snowflakes just kept dancing in the starry sky. Mom was going down the stairs, piercing Dad with her trademark glare. Her face showed something between wrath and condescension. Suddenly her gaze shifted to me and stayed for a dangerously long time.
Так, я не поняла. Антон, а где очки? Потерял?
Да в школе поди забыл, простофиля.
Venomous pause followed.
В тебя.
Dad glared at Mom and then mischievously winked at me, reminding me of our deal.
Ну ничего, есть же запасные. Проживем как-нибудь.
My parents stood in silence a bit longer and then both of them went to mind their own business. Olya threw herself into my arms before I could even take off my coat.
А я лису увидела!
Surprise akin to a shotgun blast. I could only flap my lips in reply. A cup shattered into many little pieces with a loud tang. My mom let it fall from her hands. Her face was pale and her eyes were glued to the ground. Oh shit, wait. I skipped once again. This pause, just a split second, felt like an eternity. Then my mom spoke with disappointment. Yeah, sure, you know something, mother of ours.
Правда, правда!
But then again, it's like, she says it as if it was like nonsensical. They live in the middle of the forest, once again!
Такая пушистая! Она у забора стояла на задних лапах, совсем как человек. Она меня позвала, а тут мама вышла, и лиса убежала.
Oh, so there was a situation. Okay.
Не подходи к ней.
If it was necessary, I was ready to shake my sister as if she was a doll made of cloth.
Ты чего, Тоша?
Не подходи, слышишь?
Mom entered the hallway and gave me a surprised look. I hesitated.
Ну, лиса ведь укусить может.
I remembered fairy tales where foxes used to kidnap children. I imagined my Alisa, liberated carnivores, running through the night forest with a dangling sack in her hands.
Это ж была не настоящая лиса. Расскажи ему, Оль.
Она на двух ногах ходила, а еще была в платье одета.
That was Alisa, alright!
Только она была взаправду.
Видишь?
Mom showed us a tired smile as if it was the only explanation needed. I also forced myself to smile. My smile was like a thin piece of soap right before it dissolves completely on your palm. But when I was left alone with my sister, I whispered,
Еще раз увидишь ее, беги.
Thoughts of the forest beast bombarded me like a rain of candy and toys. There was a hairish silhouette standing in front of me, towering over the treetops. Who was he? What happened in the forest? What's happening to me? I shut my eyes and threw the vitamins in my mouth, washed them down with water. Please stop driving me mad, please. I barely managed to force myself to do homework, but those math problems just refused to be solved. Numbers in my notebook tumbled around and mixed in a whirling dance, sometimes running over the lines. My head became heavy from that pandemonium and I almost dropped it into that chain of numbers. My eyelids felt like there were tiny weights tied to them, type used in grocery stores. And right at the moment I surrendered and closed my notebook, the memories of my day started flashing before my eyes. I was in the middle of the stuffy school corridor. I could see the literature classroom from here, the faces of dead classical writers on the portraits, the prim and regal pose of our homeroom teacher, Lila Pavlovna. And around that corner was her daughter, Katya, a snitch and a gossip eagerly waiting for me.
Эй, новенький, новенький.
Чего тебе, Кать?
That's interesting because, like, at least in my school, it was like if you were a child of a teacher, you couldn't be in the same class your parents' teachers. Because, you know, unfairness and all. Bias. Nepo baby situation. She got on her tiptoes and started swaying while hiding her hands behind her back and then asked me with a fake smile on her face.
Скажи, пожалуйста, а чего это тебя к нам перевели, а?
I might have told her the truth about this to Polina, but Katya will sell it on the market for 3 kopiekas. It would be the same as printing all my thoughts and hanging them near Vova's picture for everyone to see. So I reverted to an answer I knew by heart.
Все из-за моих родителей. У папы тут новая работа, а мама...
But Katya didn't even listen to me, just rushed toward the perked up ears of her friends, whispered something while stealing glances at me and giggling.
Да-да, конечно. Он нас тут совсем за дурачков держит. Я вот слыхала, что это все из-за его отца. Он недавно кому-то крутому дорогу перешел, и теперь они всей своей семейкой в нашем захолустье скрываются.
Неправда! Ты все врешь!
А слышали? Слышали, как он бабулина просто так стукнул? Это каким надо быть уродом, чтобы в первый же день...
Not out of nowhere, he was bullying me, so I hit him back!
Прекрати! Ты же
Chill.
знаешь, он первый начал!
Yeah, exactly!
И будто этого мало. Хм. Ходят слухи, что он спутался с ворюгами из шайки Ромки. и
Katya is so
Петруха.
full of shit.
Ой, девочки, сумки проверяйте. Того и гляди, в гардеробе вещи начнут пропадать.
Bro, okay, that's taking it too far.
Будем знать. Это Петров с дружками постарался. Да-да-да.
Замолчи! Заткнись!
Вон как раскричался-то, будто ужаленный. А зрачки-то, зрачки какие широкие. Опять чего доброго с катушек слетит и руки распускать начнет. Не зря же его мать с таблетками пичкает.
I just stood there in confusion, trying in vain to understand how she found out about my medicine, and what scared me even more was the possibility that her nonsense had some truth mixed in.
Да-да. Он такой же ненормальный, как и его сестрица. Представляете, к этой сумасшедшей дурочке каждую ночь прилетает сова ростом с человека.
Okay, leave my sister out of it.
Да-да. Только что-то ее никто из здоровых людей не видел. А этот наивный простак ей верит. Нет, ну вы представляете?
And then I caught a single kind look from the smirking crowd.
Это правда, Антон?
Okay, chill, Polina.
Действительно, тебе не здоровится?
Полина, послушай меня!
Как же? Не слушай этого болтуна, Полиночка. Ты еще не знаешь. Он тебя на другую променял. Не знаешь?
Okay, we're not together, so I could not cheat on her, okay?
На Алису.
Polina slouched as if someone kicked her in the stomach and then burst out in tears and fell to the dirty floor, wailing and screaming. I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be that drastic with her reaction. We barely know each other.
Почему она, Антон? Почему?
I couldn't understand her reaction, but I still rushed to Polina's side before getting shoved violently by Katya.
Убери от нее свои лапы, чудовище!
Chill, Elsa. Rage was building up under the veil of my fear. It slowly rose from the cloudy mist. I felt my upper lip lift creep up. Oh my god. I felt my upper lip lift creep up, showing my teeth. I think it's something incorrect.
То, что твой
They still haven't fixed all the
отец не дает
issues
тебе
with
права
the
поднимать
dialogue.
руку на девушку.
My fists became hammers. I couldn't unclench them. Nobody can speak about my family like that. I came to my senses when I already lunged at the angry Katya.
Слетел-таки! Слетел! Спасите! Помогите! Петро!
Genuinely? Like, I understand she's a girl and we're a boy, so that's why it doesn't work. But if I were a girl and she was acting like that towards me, I would have slapped her. At the same moment, the crowd around her became louder. It started whistling and roaring and growing. The subtle silhouettes of my schoolmates became larger, wider. They shot upward toward the ceiling, turned into a giant black forest chock full of toothy faces. I shrank to a tiny ball of fur and started shaking in fear before the might of ulcer-ridden trunks. It belonged to either trees or humans. It was impossible to tell.
Вот ты и показал свое животное нутро. Трус!
Jesus. Katya's face was twisted with jubilation and ecstasy.
Почему она? Нет! Чем она лучше меня?
She's a furry. Polina screamed while choking on her tears.
Он! Животное! Юзак!
We're just Zaytik. A scary flapping of wings came from the forest. A pair of giant white ears descended somewhere from above, and I dug myself into them. It's all because of the medicine. I jumped up, almost falling out of bed. Apparently I was thrashing around for hours on the sweat-soaked sheets. Olia's scream pulled me out, set me free from the tentacles of fear. It took my eyes a while to focus on the silhouette near the window. Olia's voice was distant. My head was still ringing after the fight. The sound got distorted, as if my ears were stuffed with cotton. My sister, as distressed as ever, just kept on repeating the same phrase. Her tears poured on my heart like boiling water. But I was almost thankful for the owl's appearance. Otherwise, this scared Olia wouldn't have woken me up.
Я сейчас. Хочешь, я тебе Мурзилку почитаю?
Murzilka. What is Murzilka? Murzilka, a Soviet and Russian monthly illustrated magazine for kids. It had been published since 1924. The magazine uses an unidentified yellow creature wearing a scarf and a red beret as its mascot. Writers like Samuil Marshak and Agnia Barto contributed to the magazine early in their careers. I don't know who those guys are, but probably popular.
Подожди.
I placed my bare heels on the cold floor, felt around for my glasses, remembered Semyon, his underhanded act, and sighed. She couldn't tear her eyes off the window as if it was a starring contest. I found the light switch with my hand. The lamp poured bright light all over me. I got up. My vision fooled me, moving the window closer, only to push it farther the next moment. My sister was just a blurry spot. I took a hesitant step forward.
Оль,
It doesn't look like Olia.
что там? Что-то случилось? Ты хочешь, чтобы я открыл шторы?
The voice was coming from behind. I turned around and froze from terror. Teary-eyed, Olia stood in the doorway. She stared at me with eyes that were red from crying, with her hands wrapped around her shoulders. Her voice was nervous, as if she was afraid to hear my answer.
Я разговаривал с тобой, с тем, кто притворился тобой.
The ledge outside my windows creaked ominously, as if something huge was sitting on top of it. Yikes! And then the thing that pretended to be Olia started spreading, changing shape, grow to scary heights under the light of carnivorous moon. Yeah, no thank you, I'm not interested. It's like, you know, skinwalkers. Maybe they are skinwalkers as well, I don't know. The voice didn't belong to my sister anymore. The thing that was hiding behind my curtains got tired of pretending, making me look like a fool. I pinched myself as hard as I could, hoping that the silhouette near the window was just a continuation of my nightmare, a hallucination brought upon the cursed house. And those don't bite, do they? Maybe there are actually skinwalkers, because skinwalkers can kind of like pretend that they're someone else. They try to copy someone else's voices. So maybe those creatures, those animalistic creatures, are trying to merge the concept of missing children together with animals for some reason. Or maybe they do not remember the faces completely to copy them off. That's why they decided to hide behind the masks. But the thing is, like, skinwalkers they aren't usually as charming as, let's say, Alisa is. So that wouldn't work. But then remember, like, the smell of dead meat. So this is something like, I think the skinwalkers... Well, there's also a concept of Wendigo that's like, you turn into a creature if you eat human meat. I don't know, there are so many possibilities, god damn it! I pinched myself as hard as I could, hoping that the silhouette near the window was just a continuation of my nightmare, a hallucination brought upon by a cursed house. And those don't bite, do they? The silhouette was towering before me under the veil of mist. I heard Olia's shrill scream when someone had knocked on the window. Another knock. I stepped back into the middle of the room, as if there existed nooks where I could hide from this horror. The sound was sharp, metallic. The lamp started shimmering, then it suddenly lighted the whole room and went out like a candle in the strong wind. The filament inside it snapped with a ringing sound. The darkness that was waiting for the exact moment poured from all the angles and enveloped me. There was only this window left in the whole universe. Moonlight poured through it, painting everything the color of bones that were exhumed from a crypt. Olya started squealing and pressed herself into my back, seeking protection. And then an eye, burning with a carnivorous fire, stared at us from the window. No, it wasn't trying to break the window. It was toying with us. It just kept on knocking, driving us mad. As if a giant clock was measuring the time left for us, its pendulum swinging above the abyss. She was screaming in desperation, her hands clutching my arm like a pair of pincers. I could barely make out a pair of wings that spread out above the black spot. The moonlight suddenly disappeared and the room descended into darkness. We couldn't see the burning eye anymore. I swallowed the sting lamp that was stuck in my throat. I stepped toward the curtains, entranced by the call of this disfigured guest. Olya was standing behind me, mumbling. The bleak window was creeping closer. Curtains rustled. I reached out to move them aside so I could look my fear in the eye. At that moment, I heard noise coming from our parents' bedroom. Without thinking, I pulled the curtain to the side in one swing. Nothing. Though there was something shining on the ledge among the scattered feathers. My glasses. The ones that Semyon took from me. How did they get there? Was that a gift from the gurgling night? Did that owl really bring them here? So this is the only place, the only moment that well, not the only thing, because like we already had like father noticing the toys and food, right? Like the snacks, the candies. So this is yet another moment where like it feels like it is real. Those creatures are real, because like how else could you explain Anton's glasses ending up here, right? Unless he's like subconsciously doing it on his own. He put it before on his own. He didn't really, but then again, like Semyon stole them, so he couldn't really get them back. Unless when he was in his phase, Alisa actually gave them to him, or like he found it in the forest. I don't know. It just feels like those kind of moments make you feel like it is realistic, but I don't know if it's not just a red herring. Like they're trying to bite us into believing that this really happened. We'll see. We'll see. I looked at the front yard, at the foreboding clearing, at the toothy forest. Not a soul, not a trace of our late-night guest. Only the old lamppost dreaming like a lone watchman among the snowy desert. The dry window frame creaked. I tore away the insulating tape, the stripes of glued newspapers. Before plastic windows became widely accessible in Russia, the cracks in frames of wooden windows were filled with cotton or pieces of cloth and sealed with self-adhesive tape or strips of newspaper soaked in soapy water to conserve heat in winter. Yeah, okay, understandable. I opened the window with big trouble. Frost pinned me with its little needles. The paintings on my walls moved from the draft. I touched my glasses, sure they would melt in my hands, but they were real. My brain was scrambling for an explanation. Semyon and his gang just pulled a prank on me. That was it. That's it. A smooth white blanket was glittering under the street lamp just outside our yard. If anybody was to get close to the house, to climb the pipe to the ledge of my window, they would surely leave footprints. But there were none. I cautiously took my glasses. My wrist was still intact. Nobody pulled me into the darkness full of restless rethink. Shit! Mom came in. I swayed from surprise and almost fell out of the window.
Совсем сдурели? Жарко, что ли? Не болели давно?
Там сова была! Тоша ее прогнал!
А ну-ка марш спать к себе в комнату. А с тобой...
Mom paused, directing her sitting eyes at me. She was thinking of a punishment equivalent to my crime. In the end, she just waved her hand, took Olya by the shoulder and left, throwing gloomy words my way.
Завтра поговорим.
I managed to get the frame back in place with a couple of hits, pressed in the latches with all the strength my fingers could muster. The cold left the room, but the fear was still present. I placed my glasses on my nose and started studying my reflection in the window. It didn't look like a face, more like a death mask. Just like the one worn by the boy from the notice board. That night, I was on the edge of joining him there. A black and white face was staring at me through the clearing between students' heads. And it wasn't Vova. His face was right beside it. I recognized the fat cheeks and damaged skin. Attention child missing. Semyon Baburin, 13 years old. So we're 13, okay. Grade 6B. He left for school in the morning of January 9th and never returned. Features. 155, 160 centimeters tall, chubby, ginger hair, and grey eyes. Was wearing a dark brown sheepskin coat, a beige scarf, a blank mink hat, and Alaska boots. Please call the numbers if you have any information on Semyon's whereabouts. And we have police and Semyon's grandma. Semyon. Baburin's photo was printed out and placed under the glass like an exhibition piece. And that's the end of the chapter 2, or episode 2. Okay, we gotta save. We gotta save it, but once again, technically I'm going to save it. You know what? Let's quickly do it together. Like, I'll reload this one and we'll speed run through this. So I can just do this thing, so you will know what we missed out. Okay, let's just... It's quick, skippity skip, skippity skip, skippity skip, it's fine. You see how fast you can play the game with different options? Yeah, so we need to take this. Okay, we need to look at this guy. We need to look at those. At this, and then we enter the school. Okay, speedrun. Reading this. Great, fantastic. See, I told you it will take like 5 minutes. We need to fight back, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, the girl of her dreams, whatever. So this part is like, if they're not interested what's like going on further on. We're going, oh right, we need to check this. I don't know if check this. We check this. Okay. Now we need to look at the guy. Shit, I didn't want to skip this. Okay. Wait. Can I stop the skipping? Oh, I had to do... Can I go backlog? What was written in there? Oh, yeah, okay. Excuse me. The silhouette turned around the corner and walked deeper into the dead end, leaving cigarette smoke in its wake. It was an adult, a teacher maybe. I used syringe among the cigarette butts, hope somebody just needed an insulin shot. A forest squirrel chomping on sunflower seeds. Someone from the school is probably feeding her. Interesting. And then we have this one. And then we can examine this one. So someone is feeding a squirrel as well, which is interesting. We're speedrunning that. I just need to stop at the right moment because, like, if they're going to... Yeah, fuck off. Oh, wait. Okay, we're... Okay, so we have, like, the glasses because we still need to click on the guy. Yeah, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm clicking through that because, like, if I'm not going to click through that, we're not going to see the guy. Or, like, we're going to skip through the guy, and I'd rather not do that if I'm already done. Okay, and then the guy is in there. Okay. Okay, and that's it. I only needed to do that. We're safe now. We're knocking. Sorry for the jump scare again, guys. But I just want to make sure that you've seen everything that happened. Like, syringes happened, right? This happened. Disgusting sounds, everything. Okay. And that's it. Yeah, so you will see in like the beginning of the next chapter why I did that. We needed to see the guy 3 times to be able to do one specific thing, which I believe may change some things. I don't know. It still depends. Okay. You see, we played like for what? Oh, I didn't get achievement of True Detective in the first play. Oh, okay, I didn't have... Okay, well, let's save the game in here, right now, right here. There we go. Yes, I want to overwrite my save. Perfect. That was it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Next chapter will be... Yes, you are too late, nerds. We just finished. We're wrapping it up. So yeah, thank you for today. Next time we will see each other on Thursday, Wednesday, and Tuesday. So tomorrow there will be... Well, tomorrow there will probably be a drone short, if I'll manage to do that. And the day after tomorrow, you will have a 30 minutes long video, so something a little bit bigger. And then on Thursday... if you're interested, of course. If not, well, then you'll have to wait for Thursday, which will be next stream. And we're going to continue with Chapter 3. Thank you so much once again, guys. And till next time, bye-bye!